Chapter 58. This bastard. Even though Chu Rong felt that she had a good temper, she was also mad by this kid's arrogance. He was clearly just a martial artist at the 6th layer, yet he dared to be so arrogant. If he was promoted to the 7th layer, 8th layer or 9th layer, wouldn't his tail rise to the sky? She had also seen many strong martial artists and even martial artists, but she had never seen such an arrogant person, as if no one in the world was his opponent. Your Chu clan martial arts school only has these people? Xiaoping looked at Chu Rong and the others and suddenly felt very disappointed. I thought that the Chu clan martial arts school ranked first in this area might have some ability, but it seems that I am still disappointed. If you want to stop me, I guess your master will have to take action personally. He looked up to the sky and sighed, showing a lonely master appearance. Arrogant. Our master is a martial artist. How can he deal with you? Don't be too arrogant, you shameless bastard. We can beat you and make you run away. All the people in the Chu clan martial arts school were so angry that their faces turned green and their bodies were trembling. Generally speaking, this kind of challenge was always the disciple against the disciple, and the master against the master. They would never cross the line, and the master would not bully the weak. Therefore, even if Xiaoping came to challenge 7 or 8 martial arts schools and defeated countless disciples, the master of the martial arts school did not take action personally, and only let his disciple take action. But this bastard was arrogant. He didn't even put the disciples of the Chu clan martial arts school in his eyes. He even wanted to challenge their master. This was the greatest insult to them. Who could bear it? The onlookers were also in an uproar. They felt that this Xiaoping was too hateful. A martial artist wanted to challenge a martial artist. Wasn't this courting death? Although this challenge would definitely fail, it indirectly despised the disciples of the Chu clan martial arts school. It showed that there was no disciple in the Chu clan martial arts school who could come out and only the master could defeat him. What a big tone. Chu Rong's face was gloomy to the extreme. Her beautiful eyes contained anger as she stared at Xiaoping. Since you are so powerful and think that you are invincible in the world, do you dare to bet with me? Bet? What do you want to bet? Xiaoping raised his eyebrows. Chu Rong snorted and said, the bet. You and I fight. As long as I win, then you must break up with Zhang Yaru and never approach her in this life. Seeing this bastard's performance just now, she felt that she must not let Zhang Yaru continue to stay with this bastard. Otherwise, Zhang Yaru's life would be ruined by this shameless bastard. What? Xiaoping had a strange expression on his face. Why did he feel like there was something wrong with this woman's head? What did the matter between him and Zhang Yaru have to do with this little girl? Was she a lesbian? He couldn't figure it out even after thinking for a long time. However, he didn't care because he had no reason to lose. After these 7 days of continuous challenges in the martial arts hall, his Dark North body protection technique has been cultivated to an extremely powerful level. His body is as hard as steel. Even the powerhouse of the 8th heaven of martial arts can't hurt him. And because of his cultivation he martial art. A lot he couldn't he had. And he and he's. He and was. How could he be afraid of a girl at the 7th heaven of martial disciple? Interesting. Alright, I promise you. Xiaoping looked at Chu Rong. But what if you lose? Chu Rong was stunned. Lose? Of course there are winners and losers. Don't tell me you only think about the benefits of winning and never think about the disadvantages of losing? If that's the case, then it's not a bet, Xiaoping said lightly. Chu Rong was stunned. She really didn't think about the possibility of losing, but she gritted her teeth and said in a deep voice, well, if I lose, I can be your girlfriend. Senior Chu. A group of people cried out anxiously, wanting to stop him. How could they become this shameless person's girlfriend? Wasn't this the same as sending a lamb into a tiger's den? Don't worry because Chu Rong, have no chance of losing. Chu Rong waved her hand, appearing extremely confident. Everyone was anxious, but there was nothing they could do. No. Xiaoping refused. You can't be my girlfriend. What? A group of people stared at Xiaoping angrily. This bastard, don't push your luck. Having such a beautiful woman as your girlfriend is already a blessing that you can't get in this life. You must burn incense for 8 lifetimes, and now you actually despise her. You don't like me? Chu Rong gritted her teeth. She felt the blue veins on her forehead protruding. She couldn't suppress the urge to beat this man up. She had lived for 18 years, and it had always been her choice of men. How could there be a man who despised her? I have too many girlfriends. You can't even be ranked. Xiaoping said carelessly, if you want to be, you can only be my 8th lover. That's barely enough. Damn it, this beast. It's already too much to have a girlfriend, but he actually has a lover. Even a beautiful woman like Chu Rong can only be ranked 8th. Why doesn't God strike him to death? A person said with grief and indignation. Shameless person. I have never seen such a shameless person. The moral degeneration of the world is getting worse day by day. This is modern society, and there's actually someone who has a harem. He has a bunch of girlfriends and many lovers. Does he want a harem of 3,000 beauties? Isn't he afraid of kidney deficiency? Dream on. This bastard will be chopped to death by a woman sooner or later. Just wait for his retribution. Damn it, what's so good about this person? Why do so many women like him? Does God still have eyes? Bastard, I'm still a virgin, and he already has a group of wives and concubines. Why is society so unfair? Everyone was indignant, and their hatred towards Xiaoping soared. If eyes could kill, Xiaoping's body would probably be riddled with holes by now. Showing off in front of a group of people who knew how long he had been single, and even said he had many girlfriends. This was suicide. 8th lover. Hearing this, Chu Rong almost fainted from anger. God knows how many women this beast had by his side. She never thought that Zhang Yaru was only one of the victims. This was just a drop in the ocean. This bastard was simply the scum of society. If she didn't get rid of this scum, who knew how many sisters would suffer from him in the future? Yes, 8th lover. If you don't agree, then this bet is over. Xiaoping waved his hand, not minding in the slightest. I agree. Chu Rong gnashed her teeth, and her beautiful eyes revealed an ominous glint. Today, if she didn't beat this scum into a pulp, and destroy his balls, then she, Chu Rong, wouldn't be a human. Senior Sister Chu. Chapter 59. DDDD. As Chu Rong agreed to the bet, Xiaoping immediately heard a burst of sounds from the system. Hatred value +1, hatred value +1. Such sounds continued. After such a provocation just now, it was unknown how many people wanted to beat him up. Of course, the hatred value soared. Sure enough, picking up girls is the best way to increase hatred. Xiaoping rubbed his chin. There's nothing more infuriating than me seducing your goddess even though you hate me. He looked around and found that everyone around him really wanted to eat him alive. They wished he could walk out of the road and be hit by an oncoming car. However, no matter how angry the people around them were, Xiaoping and Chu Rong quickly signed the contract. Come on. Come into the Chu Clan Martial Arts School. Chu Rong turned and walked towards the Chu Clan Martial Arts School. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. A group of people quickly came to an open space in the Chu Clan Martial Arts School. This was the martial arts field. They immediately separated, leaving an open space in the middle, which was the place where the fight would take place. Xiaoping and Chu Rong stood in the middle, 10 meters apart, facing each other. The people around them held their breath, wanting to see who would win and who would lose. Of course, everyone here wanted Xiaoping to lose. It was best if he was beaten black and blue. The game begins. The referee was a disciple of the Chu Clan Martial Arts School. He stepped forward and announced the start of the game. Boom! As soon as the voice fell, Chu Rong moved. She didn't know how long she had been suppressing her anger. Now she finally had the opportunity to break out. Her first move was earth-shattering. Chu Clan Martial Arts School's unique skill, Heaven and Earth Splitting Mountain Kick. The first move, Heaven and Earth Reversal. Amazing. Everyone was amazed. Chu Rong was indeed a legendary genius. Her strength was even more tyrannical than Yao Zhong's. With a kick, the air exploded and a terrible wind condensed. They could hardly see Chu Rong's movements. They only felt a figure flash past and rotate 9 times in the air, exerting a terrible force. It was as if a meteor had hit the ground and turned the world upside down. With a whoosh, she fell from the sky and kicked toward his chest with a sense of shattering mountains and rivers. It is said that this leg technique, the Heaven and Earth Mountain Splitting Kick, has the power to shatter the earth and crush mountains and rivers when used by a martial arts master. Someone exclaimed, "There was once a grandmaster who dealt with countless monsters. With one kick, tens of thousands of powerful monsters were instantly killed. The entire ground cracked for more than 10 kilometers. There is indeed such a rumor. Although Sister Chu is only at the 7th heavenly layer, she has also cultivated the essence of this martial technique. Even in the face of an ordinary 8th heavenly layer, the other party may not be an opponent. Furthermore, this kick technique specializes in breaking through external martial arts. Its penetrative power is extremely strong, and no defensive martial arts can withstand it. This brat is still acting tough here without moving. He's dead meat this time. Everyone discussed animatedly. They saw that this bastard Xiaoping still did not move. He stood in place with his hands behind his back, calm and composed, as if he did not intend to make any dodging movements. Bang! Chu Rong's foot kicked fiercely on Xiaoping's chest, and the shockwave produced visible ripples in the air, sweeping around and spreading. The surrounding 2 or 3 disciples were caught off guard and were immediately shocked by the aftermath. They screamed and smashed 5 or 6 meters away on the ground. Everyone was horrified and unbelievable. That's all? Xiaoping still didn't move. He looked at Chu Rong faintly. He also secretly sighed in his heart. This woman's strength is really not bragging. The power of this kick alone is more than twice as strong as Yao Zhong. Even if he had challenged a lot of martial arts masters before, none of them could compare to this woman. She is worthy of being a genius girl who can be as famous as Zhang Yaru. If he hadn't gone through 7 days of cultivation and cultivated the Dark North body protection art to the point of being like steel, I'm afraid he wouldn't be able to withstand this kick and would definitely be kicked away. Unfortunately, now it is Xiaoping 7 days later, not Xiaoping 7 days ago. Damn it! Chu Rong couldn't believe her eyes at all. She had such a powerful kick, but she couldn't even make this man move half a step. Is this a ghost? The second style of Qingkuan mountain splitting kick, furious shattering 5 mountains. With a whoosh, she operated the true qi in her body and kicked again. The momentum of her body suddenly rose like an ancient god to kick the 5 mountains into pieces. The surrounding audience was shocked. The power of this kick was twice as terrifying as the previous one. It was incomparably fierce. Just the strength of the kick had already made people unable to stand steadily. Many of the people in front retreated one after another to avoid being injured. The few unlucky fellows just now were a good example. Boom! This kick kicked Xiaoping's body fiercely, making a cannonball roar. The terrifying strength of the extreme seemed to want to penetrate Xiaoping's defense and shock his lungs. What a powerful leg technique! Xiaoping's eyes revealed a glimmer of light. He operated the Dark North body protection art. The protective aura surged like water, weakening the strength of this leg technique layer by layer. If it is the iron cloth shirt Vajra body protection art, and other horizontal skills, it will definitely not be able to resist such a terrible kick. It will be penetrated by the strength in an instant and hurt the lungs. However, the Dark North body protection art is the top cultivation method. It is mysterious and incomparable. It is not comparable to those garbage body protection techniques at all. It can remove the strength of everything in the world and even turn it into its own use. How is it possible? Chu Rong's beautiful eyes widened, and she didn't believe it at all. Her kick condensed her lifelong skills. The peak kick, even the strong of the 8th heaven of the martial artist can kick it and defeat it. But now this kid is standing here motionless and can resist her peak kick. Even so far, she hasn't let this bastard move a step. I don't believe you are really so powerful. Take my last kick, which is also the strongest blow. Although I haven't completely mastered it, it's enough to deal with you. Chu Rong took a deep breath and with a bang she didn't move, but the ground under her feet was shaken out of a deep pit, and countless cracks spread out, and the momentum was like an abyss. The third style of Qingkuan mountain splitting kick 9 provinces split. In the blink of an eye, 9 shadows of legs appeared in the air. However, these 9 shadows of legs merged together and became one. Entanglement, softness, stickiness, rigidity, silk and so on. 9 different kinds of strength blended together and exploded with a terrifying power. Such a blow was enough to shatter the earth and split the 9 provinces. Legend has it that in ancient times, there was a peerless powerhouse who used this kick and stepped the entire continent apart, divided the 9 provinces, and made countless martial arts powerhouses worship. Sister Chu is too strong. Chapter 60. Dong. Xiaoping still did not resist, allowing Chu Rong to attack him, and kicked him hard in the chest with one foot. The energy shot everywhere, rolled up the violent airflow, and the dust billowed, diffusing all around. The surrounding audience all stepped back several steps to avoid being affected. Because of the rolling yellow sand, they couldn't see the situation of the battle between the two for the time being. That kid is dead, and he's still showing off at this time, a student of the Chu clan martial arts hall affirmed. This kick is enough to shatter rocks, even mountains. It can be compared to the attack of an ordinary martial artist in the 9th heaven. A mere martial artist in the 6th heaven can't resist it at all. Indeed. Another person also nodded. If that kid avoids, there may be a chance to win, but he is too arrogant to the extreme, and he took such a terrifying kick. It's lucky that I'm still alive. That kid will be sent directly to the hospital, and it's very likely that he will lie down for a year. Others also agreed. According to their eyesight, they also thought that Xiaoping had no hope of winning, because Chu Rong's kick was too terrifying, reaching the peak. But in the center of the battle, Chu Rong's face changed dramatically. She was full of confidence, thinking that this kick could definitely defeat Xiaoping, and it went well at first. The cotton-like defense before seemed to be constantly destroyed by her terrifying strength, as if to penetrate his body and attack his internal organs. But at this moment, the momentum of this bastard suddenly doubled, as if it was more terrifying than before, and the whole person was like an ancient beast. And the power of her own foot, it seemed to fall into the endless sea, surrounded by the sea, and the strength was constantly weakened, and in the end there was no attack power. Thank you. If it weren't for your kick, I'm afraid I wouldn't have been able to be promoted to the 7th heaven of martial artists so quickly. Xiaoping smiled softly, his heart full of joy. Originally, after a week of cultivation, he was at the peak of the 6th heaven of martial artists, only one step away from being able to connect the 7 meridians and be promoted to the 7th heaven of martial artists. After such a terrifying kick, his dark north body protection art ran wildly, quickly refining the energy of the golden potion in his body, and transforming a lot of true qi. In this way, he broke through the 7th meridian at once, and his strength increased greatly. Impossible! Chu Rong was dumbfounded. Breaking through at the last moment? Are you a freak? You can even do something like breaking through at the last minute? She had previously thought that breaking through at the last minute was just a legend. After all, every step of cultivation was arduous, and it depended on the accumulation of time and effort. Every breakthrough was incomparably difficult, and one needed to prepare for a long time. How could anyone break through during a battle? This was too ridiculous. But now she actually saw a guy break through in front of her, and it was in her own battle, and suddenly broke through to the 7th heaven of martial disciple. Nothing is impossible. For you to be so surprised, it can only mean that you still don't understand the true martial way. Xiaoping stood with his hands behind his back, looking like a martial Dao grandmaster. The world of martial Dao is limitless. There is no such thing as the impossible. The thought of the impossible limits your future. Bullshit. Chu Rong was infuriated. Even if this bastard had broken through, he was only a martial disciple. How dare he show off here and talk about martial arts? Even a martial disciple would not dare to say such big words and say that he knew martial arts. Even if you are promoted to the 7th heaven of martial disciple, Chu Rong will definitely defeat you. With a hong sound, she circulated the true energy in her body, exhausting all of her strength. Another kick, reversing the universe, powerful and vigorous, descended from the sky, viciously kicking towards Xiaoping's chest. I said, you are no longer my opponent now. Xiaoping slowly stretched out his right palm and gently slapped it. Boom! The two tyrannical forces collided, and an explosion broke out in the air. The shock of the qi even made the ears of the surrounding audience roar, and they couldn't help but cover their ears. Damn it! Chu Rong was shocked. She felt that the strength of her foot was far inferior to the opponent's, and even the opponent's palm came with a terrible shock force. A shock of qi spread along her feet and spread to her whole body. Boom! In an instant, the white training clothes on her body, and even her underwear, were shattered into pieces of cloth that fell to the ground, revealing her hot and perfect figure. Xiaoping grabbed her right foot, and his eyes lit up. Not bad, this kind of figure is qualified to be my 8th lover. I am very satisfied. He didn't expect that there would be such benefits in fighting. Satisfied my ass. Chu Rong was ashamed and angry. She never thought that such a situation would happen. Her perfect figure would be presented in front of a strange man. Is there anything more shameful than this? Fortunately, the surrounding yellow sand was rolling, and the audience nearby couldn't see the situation inside. Otherwise, she would be so ashamed that she wanted to immediately drill into the hole and never come out again. Go to hell. She was not willing to show weakness. With her right foot as the axis, her body rotated, and her left foot kicked again with a sharp wind whistling sound. However, Xiaping was already prepared. He stretched out his left hand and easily blocked it. Then he grabbed Chu Rong's whole body in his arms. This was a standard princess hug. Ah! Chu Rong exclaimed, her pretty face flushed, her beautiful eyes showed the flames of shame and anger, and she struggled as if she wanted to escape from the arms of this shameless man. She didn't have any clothes on her body now, and she was being held by a man like this. Don't be noisy. Xiaping stared at Chu Rong and said, do you want this situation to be seen by others? This. Hearing this, Chu Rong immediately stopped struggling. Her face was extremely ugly. If her appearance was seen by others, she would have no face to see anyone tomorrow. She would definitely become a laughingstock at school. Good girl. Seeing that Chu Rong no longer struggled, Xiaping smiled lightly. Now let's go into the dojo and find a room. Let's chat slowly, my 8th lover. Bullshit, who's your lover? Chu Rong was mad, but in her current situation, it was not good for her to continue to resist. She could only stare fiercely at this shameless bastard. Whiz! He jumped lightly with his feet, producing a strong jumping force. His whole body was like a white crane, extremely light. In an instant, he jumped more than 10 meters away, leaving the encirclement of the yellow sand. Look, that bastard! Xiaping escaped. An audience heard the wind and immediately looked up. He saw Xiaping jump into the air, as if he was going to escape. Chapter 61. What's going on? Why did Xiaping run away? One of the spectators was puzzled. He didn't understand why Xiaping would suddenly run away. If this guy lost, he shouldn't be able to move. But if he won, there was no need to run away at all. With this kid's strength alone, no one could stop him. Look, senior sister Chu has also disappeared. She seems to have been captured by that shameless Xiaping. The yellow sand and dust in the sky gradually dispersed, and some people also discovered that Chu Rong's figure had also disappeared. Many people also discovered this situation, and their expressions changed greatly. Damn it, why did Xiaping capture senior sister Chu? What is he trying to do? Could it be that bastard wants to harm senior sister Chu? But since he can capture Miss Chu, it means that he has won. Why would he do such a thing? The crowd discussed spiritedly, feeling that it was incomparably strange. Everyone look, there is a pile of debris on the ground. Those are fragments of senior sister Chu's clothes. Even if I turn into ashes, I can still recognize it. A martial arts student shouted, seemingly very shocked. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. A group of people immediately looked over, and sure enough, there was a pile of debris on the ground, as if it had been shaken into pieces by a powerful force. Cracks had even appeared on the ground. Even the hard marble floor had been shaken to such a state. One could imagine how intense the battle had been, and how terrifying its destructive power was. I remember. All of a sudden, someone's expression changed drastically. When that bastard Xiaping grabbed young Miss Chu and ran away, even though I only caught a glimpse of her, I vaguely saw that she wasn't wearing any clothes at all. Her entire body was held by Xiaping. At that time I thought it was an illusion, but I didn't expect it to be true. I understand it must be that bastard Xiaping just beat senior sister Chu. But that Xiaping is shameless, and while senior sister Chu was unprepared, he tore her clothes in front of everyone. A student said indignantly. Senior sister Chu refused, so he forced himself on her and took her away. This Xiaping is a mountain bandit. Damn, tearing a woman's clothes in front of everyone. How could this Xiaping have such an idea? This is an ass. Could it be that he had wanted to do such a thing for a long time? How could he do such a thing? This Xiaping is not human. It's fine if he won, but he actually snatched the person away as well. Is he a bandit? What is that bastard trying to do by snatching away the naked young Miss Chu? Are you a fucking fool? We're all men, so what else can we do? He must be thinking of doing all kinds of things to Miss Chu, even forcing her into all kinds of embarrassing positions. It's over, it's over. Miss Chu's innocence will definitely be taken away by that bastard Xia Ping. Another beauty has fallen into the hands of the beast Xia Ping. This world is hopeless. The next time young Miss Chu appears, she won't be the same young Miss Chu that we know anymore. She'll have already been trained by that bastard countless times. Damn it, I'm so envious of her. Heavens, is there no one to deal with this beast? He has done a lot of evil. Everyone was filled with grief and indignation. All of them were howling in grief, and their eyes were red. Especially the many spectators present, they were all fans of Chu Rong, but now she was actually carried away by a man in front of so many people, taken to a secret room, and done all kinds of things that could not be described. Thinking of this, they were all envious, jealous, and hateful. How could this bastard Xia Ping's luck be so good? How could he be able to have such a good time with such a beauty? Call the police, we need to call the police immediately, capture that beast Xia Ping, and send him to prison. He is robbing a woman. A martial arts student said angrily. No matter what, he had to destroy Xia Ping's good fortune. Chu Rong was their goddess. She was simply in existence like their dream lover. How could she be so easily defiled by a shameless beast? Absolutely not. But someone else said, but he has already signed a contract with Chu Rong to be his 8th lover. Both sides have agreed to this matter. We have no reason to call the police. Even if we call the police won't care. Hearing this, everyone was even more indignant and depressed to the extreme. This road was blocked. If they couldn't call the police, they couldn't arrest Xia Ping and put him in prison. In other words, they could only watch the bastard do whatever he wanted and ruin all kinds of beauties. I can't accept it. A martial arts student looked up to the sky and sighed. That Xia Ping is a beast. He came to our martial arts club to bully people and do all kinds of evil, but we can't do anything about him. Is there any justice in this world? No, I think there is still justice in this world. Although the law can't punish him, we can expose his true colors, let more people spit on him, and make his reputation worse than dog shit. Yes, let's post on the internet, create rumors and ruin his reputation. Bullshit rumors, these are all facts, they are facts, you know. That's right, although we don't have any evidence, we can see the whole picture. That Xia Ping is definitely a bitch. This matter must be done as soon as possible, otherwise, I don't know how many ignorant girls will be killed by him. If we delay for a second, the innocence of a few girls may be ruined by his hands. Everyone was filled with righteous indignation, and their emotions were surging. At this time, in the depths of the Chu clan's martial arts club in a bedroom. Damn it, that bastard really left. Chu Rong looked at the empty room and thought of the figure that had disappeared long ago. She couldn't help but feel sullen. When she was caught by this bastard Xia Ping and brought back here, she thought that this guy would do all kinds of indescribable things to her. Even Chu Rong decided that once this bastard dared to do anything to her, even if there were any signs of it, even if she exhausted all her strength, she would kick this bastard's vital parts. But she didn't expect this guy to be such a gentleman. He just carried her back to this place and then left without any reluctance to leave. Could it be that the guy is actually impotent? Chu Rong couldn't help but think so. Otherwise there was no way. In the face of a beauty like her, he was indifferent. Was he still a man? Or was it that she didn't have any charm at all? She couldn't even charm a man. Impossible, it's definitely not my problem, it must be that guy's problem. Chu Rong absolutely refused to admit that she didn't have charm. But she admitted that her failure was too serious. She actually lost face in front of so many people, and even almost lost her innocence. Chapter 62. The next morning, Xia Ping stretched lazily and woke up from his bed. Suddenly, the system sounded a mechanical voice. Congratulations to the host so far. The host has received a total of 7,436 hatred points. What? Xia Ping was taken aback. What happened? I remember there were only 3,000 or 4,000 hatred points yesterday. How come after sleeping there were 2,000 or 3,000 more hatred points? Last night, there seemed to be a lot of people cursing the host on the internet, attracting a lot of hatred. The system guessed. Maybe it's because the host robbed a woman yesterday. Robbing a woman? The corner of Xiaoping's mouth twitched. He was just kind enough to take Chu Rong back so that she wouldn't be exposed. How did he become a bully who robbed a woman? It was too unfair. But forget it. Anyway, I got 3 or 4,000 hatred points. This is a huge harvest. Maybe it's not a bad thing. Xiaoping touched his chin and smiled slightly. And after a week of continuous cultivation, the golden potions he brought back from Black Moon City were basically consumed. If he wanted to promote quickly again, he would need to obtain a lot of resources. But he was also very satisfied with his cultivation progress. In just over a week, he had cultivated from the 6th heaven of martial arts to the 7th heaven. Even among the countless students in the entire Tianshui city, he was among the best. I still cultivate too fast. I must consolidate the foundation of martial arts so that when the foundation is unstable, it will be a little troublesome. Xiaoping thought about it. Today, I will cultivate in seclusion at home for a day and ask for leave to rest. He decided to take a temporary leave today and cultivate in seclusion for a day. At this time, Tianshui City 95th High School, Class 36. Zhang Yaru came to school as usual, but for some reason, from the entrance of the school until she entered the classroom, there were many people pointing at her and whispering, as if she was some rare animal. This made her feel very strange, and she could not understand it no matter how she thought about it. When Zhang Yaru returned to her seat and sat down, 5 or 6 girls in the class immediately surrounded her. The other students in the class also looked over, with a look of gossip on their faces. Yaru, it's over, you've been cuckolded, you know? That Xiaoping is simply a beast. He can even do this kind of thing. Yaru, you don't need to be sad. Just kick a man like that away. It's no big deal. That's right, that's right. It doesn't matter even if you're pregnant. You can just have an abortion. Staying with a man like that will ruin your life. Don't go into a wolf's den. A few girls shouted as if the sky was falling. Cuckolded. Zhang Yaru was dumbfounded. She had no idea what her female classmates were trying to say. She blinked her beautiful eyes and asked, "Just what are you guys talking about? I don't understand a single word you're saying. Yaru, didn't you go online? Don't you know what happened last night?" A tall girl asked in surprise. Zhang Yaru nodded. "I was cultivating the entire night last night, so I didn't have a chance to go online. When I was tired, I went straight to bed and came to school in the morning." How diligent. The girls were filled with admiration. It was one thing for Lin Fan to be a genius, but he was even more hardworking than them. How could they compare to him? There was simply no way they could compare. "Yara, I feel like you're just this diligent. You're always cultivating, but you're careless. That's why you gave that bastard Xiaoping the chance to cheat on you. You should have been watching him at all times." A fat girl was resentful that Lin Fan didn't live up to her expectations. "Once there's such a sign, you should have kicked his balls. You absolutely can't give him the chance to cheat on you." Zhang Yaru was depressed to the extreme. "Cheat on me? Just what are you guys trying to say? What else could it be?" The tall girl shouted. "You also know that recently that Xiaoping has been constantly challenging all the big dojos after school, beating up all the geniuses from the big schools." Zhang Yaru also expressed that she knew about this matter. Every time she wanted to find trouble with that bastard, he would use all kinds of excuses to escape, saying that he wanted to challenge the dojos. Moreover, this matter had already become the school's news. Basically, there weren't many people who didn't know about it. Just last night he challenged the strongest dojo nearby, the Chu Clan Dojo. There's a senior sister there, Chu Rong. She's the campus belle of 88 Middle School. The tall girl said. Zhang Yaru's beautiful eyes lit up. She also knew Chu Rong. After all, this woman was her biggest competitor. They had always been at each other's throats. Naturally, she was very familiar with the other party. He went to challenge the Chu Clan Dojo? Zhang Yaru asked curiously. Then he must have faced Chu Rong. What was the result? Did that kid get beaten up? She was very clear about Chu Rong's strength. She was at the 7th heavenly layer of martial disciple, and had cultivated extremely terrifying martial skills. Her true combat strength might even be stronger than her own. That bastard Xiaoping definitely had no hope of winning against such a strong person. No, not only was he not beaten up. The tall girl said with grief and indignation, that beast Xiaoping's methods are very high. I don't know what method he used, but he defeated Chu Rong and even signed a contract making Chu Rong his 8th lover. Just last night, under the watchful eyes of everyone, that bastard ran away with Chu Rong. Some people said that the two of them went to a nearby hotel to get a room. What? Zhang Yara was taken aback. She didn't expect Xiaoping to be able to defeat Chu Rong. Was this bastard already strong to this extent? No, the problem didn't seem to be this. Could this bastard even get a room with Chu Rong? She was simply dumbfounded. No way, is this true or false? Zhang Yara couldn't believe it. The tall girl shouted, how can it be false? At that time, there were hundreds of people watching the Chu clan dojo. Men can be relied on. Pigs can climb trees. To be honest, I always thought that the bastard stepping on more than a dozen boats was a rumor. I didn't expect it to be true. Even Chu Rong was picked up by him. How can it be false? When I went to the teacher's office just now, I heard the news of that guy taking a leave of absence. It is said that he won't come today. It seems that there is something wrong with his body. What kind of problem is there? He's already at the 7th heavenly layer of martial disciple. He's as strong as a calf. He must have been crazy with that little Mistress Chu Rong last night. He's not willing to get up this morning. God punishes Xiaoping. He's already hooked up with a beauty like Yaru, yet he's still willing to cheat. Shameless to the extreme. God angers man. The group of girls chattered among themselves. They were furious to the extreme. This. Zhang Yara was speechless. Although her friends were angry for her, in reality, she had nothing to do with that bastard. There was no place to be angry even if she wanted to. Chapter 63. At this time, Tianshui City Marie Hospital, which is one of the best hospitals in the entire Tianshui City, is fully equipped, and the doctors are skilled, but the only problem is that the price is expensive and the poor dare not come in at all. And in a separate ward in the hospital there was a bang, and there was a sound of a vase being broken, mixed with anger to the extreme like a wounded beast. Xiaoping. The person lying on the hospital bed was Zhou Tai, and his face was distorted, his fists were clenched, and he was obviously angry to the extreme. With the brilliant treatment equipment here in Marie Hospital, it costs millions of federal coins. The injury that would have taken a month to heal is now almost healed in a week. But just when he was in a good mood, he saw the news of Xiaoping on the internet, and he was so angry that he could no longer suppress the anger that he had accumulated for a week. This week, I can only lie in the hospital bed, receiving treatment like a mummy, and you Xiaoping have a very comfortable life, and even can be said to be thriving. Zhou Tai-an's face was gloomy, challenging the martial arts hall, promoted to the 7th heaven of martial arts, and even the school flower of 88 Middle School, the famous beauty anchor on the internet. If this goes on, won't that bastard be able to ride on my head and shit and pee? Can I, Zhou Tai-an, still take revenge? He was extremely unwilling and very jealous. He didn't know how much effort and resources he had consumed in order to be promoted to the 6th heaven of martial arts. But this kid, it seems that there is no bottleneck in his cultivation. He has broken through again and again, and now he has been promoted to the 7th heaven of martial arts. Not only his combat power, but even his cultivation base is above him. How can this make him convinced? Son. With a snap, the door of the ward was pushed open, and a middle-aged man in a black suit came in from the outside. He exuded the aura of a hero, and behind him were 4 or 5 black-clothed bodyguards. He is Zhou Tai-an's father, Zhou Ding, the owner of the Zhou restaurant. He is worth hundreds of millions and has thousands of subordinates. It is said that he has a deep relationship with the underworld forces. Even his cultivation base is very strong, reaching the realm of the 9th heaven of martial arts. Seeing the vase fragments on the ground, Zhou Ding frowned and stared at his son. Did you lose your temper just now? Didn't the doctor tell you not to get angry easily, or it will affect the recovery of your injuries? Yes, Dad, I lost my temper, but I can't accept it. Zhou Tai-an gritted his teeth. What is Xiaoping? His family background is mediocre. He's just a poor ghost. Before, he was just a waste of the 3rd heaven of martial arts. No one looked up to him. As for me, I Zhou Tai-an train hard every day. I train in the winter and in the summer. I never slack off. I even have a lot of resources to help me. Why can't I compare to him? But I lost. In the arena, I was beaten like a dead dog by him and became the laughingstock of the academy. How can I accept this? He clenched his fists, his whole body trembling. Zhou Ding looked at his son and couldn't help but sigh. He knew that his son's life had been smooth sailing since he was a child. He was high and mighty with a strong sense of self-esteem. He had never suffered any setbacks. It was normal for him to be unable to accept such a huge setback all of a sudden. Shut up. Zhou Ding roared, you are my son. Who are you trying to show this cowardly look to? It's just the son of an urban management officer. If you don't want to see him, I'll make him disappear. His tone was incomparably majestic. Dad. Zhou Tai and was stunned and looked at his father. Today I want to tell you one thing. Martial arts cultivation is not everything. Power is everything. Zhou Ding stood with his hands behind his back. So what if Xiaoping is a genius? I spend some money and find someone to break his legs and abolish his cultivation base. Can he still fly? A genius who hasn't grown up is not even a fart. Once he loses his cultivation base, Xiaoping is just an ant. He will be ridden by you for the rest of his life. What will he use to compare with you? His tone was extremely fierce. Zhou Tai knew that his father was not joking. He had such power. Although their family was just a restaurant, they also secretly did some smuggling activities that could not be seen and were involved with the underworld forces. Once he used the power in his father's hands, it would be easy to crush a person in the seventh heaven of martial arts. I, Zhou Ding, am not someone who can be hurt by anyone. Zhou Ding sneered and said, to be able to teach a bastard like Xiaoping who doesn't know the difference between superiors and inferiors, his parents can't forgive him. This is a felony and must be punished severely. I will also send someone to break the legs of the two of them. They can only kneel on the ground and beg for the rest of their lives. His tone was very indifferent, as if he was talking about a simple thing. As if he was not dealing with people, but two ants on the ground. But now medical technology is advanced. Even if their legs are broken, as long as there is money they can recover. Zhou Tai's eyes also showed a trace of cruelty. He wanted to drive Xiaoping's family to hell. Zhou Ding waved his hand. I have investigated them. They are just middle-class people. The house they live in is worth at most 1 million federal coins, and it was bought with a 30-year loan. The bank deposit is less than 100,000. The legs of a family of 3 are all broken. The treatment costs at least 1.5 million. In other words, if they want to restore their original state, they must sell the house, borrow from east and west, and go bankrupt. But so what? When they recover from their treatment, I will send someone over to break their legs. At that time, let's see if they can still take out the money. If they can't take out the money, they can only kneel for the rest of their lives. Even Zhou Tai couldn't help but feel a chill when he heard this. According to his father's methods, Xiaoping's family would definitely fall into eternal damnation. The so-called destruction of the family was nothing more than this. Even if Xiaoping was a genius, without his legs he was just a piece of trash. At that time, how could he compare to him? Thinking of this, Zhou Tai couldn't help but reveal a trace of carefree emotion in his heart. Who asked you to be so smug in the arena and humiliate me like this? This time I will definitely kill you. Even your family will not be able to escape this fate. Chun Dong. Zhou Ding looked at a black-clothed strong man behind him and ordered, I will leave this matter to you. Remember to do it well and don't reveal any flaws, understand? Yes, boss, we are familiar with this kind of thing. The black-clothed strong man revealed a mouthful of white teeth. He was extremely ferocious, like a shark. For underworld figures like them, doing this kind of thing was simply common. Yes. Zhou Ding nodded. For a superior, it was enough to give an order to a small figure. Do it himself. Chapter 64. In the evening, after cultivating in seclusion at home for an entire day, Xiaoping exhaled and opened his eyes, revealing a glimmer of light. The air around him trembled, and there was a faint roar of tigers and leopards. Bang! He stood up and punched the air. A powerful force was transmitted from his feet, and immediately there was a sound of air explosion, showing a terrifying destructive power. It's finally stable. Xiaoping exhaled and smiled gently. After a day of seclusion, he finally stabilized the true qi in his body. He even felt that his martial arts cultivation had improved a little. Gurgle, he touched his stomach. After cultivating for an entire day, his stomach seemed to be a little hungry. With a bang, he pushed open the door and walked out of the bedroom. His parents had not returned yet. His father was probably still working in the government department, and his mother should have gone out to set up a stall. Thinking of this, Xiaoping could not help but feel a trace of warmth in his heart. It was because of his parents that he could eat 3 meals a day and not sleep in the open. He grew up healthily. Although their family was not a very rich family, it was very warm, and he liked this kind of warm atmosphere. After a while, my royalties should be in my account soon. Xiaoping clenched his fist and smiled. At that time I can pay off the 30 years loan for this house. I can even move to a bigger house and eat monster meat for meals. However, taking out such a large sum of money so rashly will definitely scare my parents. Thinking of this, he could not help but smile, as if he could imagine the shock and disbelief on his parents' faces when they heard that he had earned a large sum of money. Ring ring ring. Suddenly the public phone at home rang. Xiaoping tapped it lightly and the phone was immediately transferred to his phone. He pressed the answer button. Hello, is this Xiachuanliu's home? I am an employee of Xuanfei Express Company. There is a delivery that needs you to sign for it. Is it convenient for you to sign for it? An unfamiliar man's voice immediately came from the phone. Xiaoping was stunned and said, Delivery? But we haven't bought anything online recently? I'm not sure about that. Maybe it's your relatives or friends who want to send something to you. The courier said, Anyway, come to the entrance of the residential area to pick up the delivery. His tone seemed to be very impatient. Xiaoping nodded. It was not impossible. He hesitated for a moment and said, Okay, I'll go out now. After that, he walked toward the entrance of the residential area. Sure enough, at the entrance, there was a young man in a blue uniform. He was holding a white paper box in his hand and seemed to be impatiently waiting for someone. Are you Mr. Xia? The eyes of the man in blue seemed very sharp and he immediately saw Xiaoping coming out. Yes, I am. Xiaoping nodded. The blue-clothed man smiled faintly and said, That's good. Open it and see if there are any problems with the goods inside. If there are no problems, then sign for it. Okay. Xiaoping's eyes flashed as he looked at the man in blue. He reached out and took the white paper box. With a he of he of he of he and of. He and of and hua. Ping he. Of the. He. Damn it. There was a trace of anger in Xiaoping's eyes. How could he not know that he had fallen into a trap? If he had not practiced the pure yang immortal art, he would have fallen into the trap. The red smoke contained a strange aura, which seemed to be able to strongly numb the nerves. How is this possible? This is the dizzying red mist, which is extracted from countless precious herbs. Even if an elephant smelled it, it would instantly fall to the ground, unconscious for 3 days and 3 nights. You actually did not faint? The man in blue seemed to be unable to believe his own eyes and looked at Xiaoping in disbelief. I am fine, but you are. Xiaoping was full of anger. He clenched his fists. He did not intend to let go of this person who had ill intentions. I will let you go this time. Next time you will not be so lucky. After saying this, the man in blue was very decisive. He turned and ran away. His speed was extremely fast. Want to run? Xiaoping chased after him like a cheetah. However, the man was not simple either. He seemed to be proficient in Qinggong. After a few jumps, he disappeared and ran toward the alley in the distance. His body was extremely light. Xiaoping chased after him. In a few minutes, he blocked the man in blue in a remote alley. It was a dead end and there was no one around. His eyes flickered. He sensed the aura around him and frowned. You deliberately led me here? You're a bit clever. The man in blue laughed. His small eyes revealed a trace of cunning and ruthlessness. The reason why I lowered my speed and did not get rid of you immediately was to lead you here to deal with you. I did not expect you to be so stupid. You fell for it immediately. He looked at Xiaoping with a smug expression. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. As soon as he said this, 3 or 4 men in black appeared in the dark alley. They were strong and had ferocious expressions. There were also 3 or 4 men in black at the entrance. All of a sudden, Xiaoping was surrounded in the alley by these men in black. Little Six, you did a good job. It was the right decision to let you personally lead this kid here. From among these men in black, an extremely tall man at least 2 meters tall walked out. He clapped his hands. Obviously, he was very satisfied with the man in blue's work. Brother Dong, of course Little Six will do what you ordered. The man in blue nodded and bowed, showing a servile look, as if he wanted to lick the man's shoes. But I didn't expect that the first plan would fail, and I would have to use the second plan to lure him here. He had prepared 2 sets of plans. The first was to use knockout powder to knock Xiaoping out and send him away. However, it failed. Now it was the second plan. Obviously, he had succeeded. It's okay. The result is everything. You have successfully led him to this place. The man called Brother Dong nodded. He turned to look at Xiaoping and said lightly, "Kid, do you know why I, Chun Dong, lured you to this deserted alley? There is no other reason. It is because you have offended someone you should not have." Chapter 65. Offended someone you shouldn't have offended? Hearing this, Xiaoping frowned, looked at the man named Chun Dong, and said, "Interesting, can I ask who the person I offended is?" He knew that these black-clothed men who suddenly appeared were definitely not good people. They had seen blood and killed people, and they were by no means ordinary people. Those underworld figures in Black Moon City were very similar to these people. "No, you don't need to know this in your life," Chun Dong said lightly. "You only need to know one thing. I will break your legs, and you can only live in a wheelchair in the future, and the only way to make a living is to go begging on the street. This is to teach you a lesson. Little people are little people. If you want too many things that don't belong to you, it will kill you." He exuded a murderous aura, cruel and merciless, a ruthless person, a real underworld dog, will not care about the lives of any ordinary people. "Break my legs?" Xiaoping looked at these people faintly. "I'm afraid you don't have this ability." Boom! As soon as the voice fell, he stepped on the ground with one foot, like a wild elephant trampling. The whole ground cracked, the gravel splashed, the earth shook, and countless cracks appeared on the ground. Xiaoping grabbed with his big hand and immediately grabbed 5 or 6 stones, ran the true qi in his body, and smashed them towards the black-clothed men in front of him, tearing the air. How terrifying was this smash! Since Xiaoping was promoted to the 7th heaven of martial arts, his strength has reached 10,000 jin, enough to rival the strong of the 9th heaven of martial arts. Compared to when he was in Black Moon City, I don't know how many times more tyrannical. Such a stone with a huge force of 10,000 jin is more terrifying than a sniper bullet. And these black-clothed men are only 5 or 6 meters away from Xiaoping. Such a short distance, such a fast speed, how can this be blocked? There is no way to block it at all. Bang bang bang. The stone arrived in an instant, and the 3 black-clothed men in front were pierced by the stone. A bloody hole appeared in their chest, and they screamed and were killed at once. Their eyes were wide open, showing a look of horror. It seemed that they did not expect that they would be killed by this high school student, and they did not even have the strength to fight back. With a plop, their corpses fell to the ground, kicking up a cloud of dust. Blood dripped onto the ground. What? The man in blue was so scared that his face turned pale, and his eyes were filled with terror. He couldn't believe that this brat actually dared to fight back. Moreover, he even dared to kill them without any mercy. He was even more ruthless than them. "You're courting death." Chun Dong was shocked and infuriated to the extreme. How could he have imagined that a little high school student would actually be so ruthless to such an extent? He didn't say anything and struck a killing blow without showing any mercy. In just a breath's time, 3 of his elite subordinates had died tragically in front of him. This loss was too heavy. Die! Xiaoping had no intention of showing mercy. Since these people wanted to find trouble with him and even wanted to kill him, he had no intention of showing mercy. He only had one way to deal with his enemies, and that was to kill. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Another 3 stones flew out, cutting through the air and emitting a sharp whistling sound. It was as if they had reached the sound barrier, like the voice of the god of death. Damn it! Chun Dong wanted to block it, but it was too late. He couldn't keep up with this speed at all. With a few puffs, the throats of the remaining 3 black-clothed men were pierced at once. Their eyes were wide open as they covered their throats, unable to say anything at all. Before they died, they didn't expect that they would be killed by a little high school student. One must know that they were all underworld figures, the powerhouses of the 7th heaven of martial arts. But in front of this kid, they couldn't even withstand one move and were instantly killed. But this was the case in a battle of life and death. There was no time to fight for 300 rounds. One move was enough to determine life and death. "Xia Ping!" Chan Dong shouted angrily, his face hideous. "You dare to kill my men and do such a rebellious thing. I Chan Dong want you to die. I want you to be torn into pieces. Do you understand?" He was so angry that he couldn't hide his inner anger at all. Now he didn't want to cripple this kid's legs anymore. He just wanted to tear him into pieces. Otherwise, the blood feud of his men and the monstrous hatred in his heart couldn't be filled at all. As for the boss's instructions, he didn't want to care anymore. Now he just wanted to kill this damn bastard and tear his body into pieces. Boom! At this moment, a terrifying aura burst out of Chun Dong's body, showing the powerful strength of the 9th heaven of martial arts. His whole person was like a bursting bear, and his clothes were shattered. High-level martial art. Black Bear Earth Fiend Fist. Vaguely, when this fist blasted out, it seemed to strike out the phantom of a black bear. The explosive bear roared, displaying terrifying power, enough to smash a rock into pieces, and even a war chariot could be pierced through and overturned. This was the power of the peak of the martial arts realm. What? Chun Dong was shocked because he found that this kid had no intention of dodging at all. He was still standing in the same place, looking at him indifferently. His face was extremely calm, as if he looked down on his punch. "You're courting death." Chun Dong's face was ferocious, and he was even more angry. Since the other party wanted to die, then he would fulfill this kid's wish. He would punch this bastard's body into pieces. Boom! The punch landed solidly on Xia Ping's body. It was as if hundreds of tons of explosives had exploded. A roar rang out, and the energy vibrated. Even the cement floor under his feet instantly cracked, and gravel scattered. What's going on? Chun Dong was surprised to the extreme and inexplicably horrified. He felt that his punch seemed to have hit cotton. The high school student in front of him didn't move at all, and he couldn't let the other party move half a step. Not good. Run away. At this moment, endless fear surged in his heart, feeling that the great horror between life and death was coming. He tried his best to punch but couldn't defeat the other party. The old force had just passed, and the new force had not yet been generated. How could he resist the other party's attack? Snake Fist Spirit Snake Drilling Hole. Xia Ping's right hand turned into a snake and poked heavily. With a bang like cutting tofu, it easily pierced Chun Dong's chest and directly burst his heart. Chun Dong stared at Xia Ping. He couldn't believe that he, a powerhouse of the 9th heaven of martial arts, was killed by the other party like this, and his heart was blown up with one blow. But no matter how unwilling he was already dead, and his body slammed heavily on the ground. Run! The man in blue was so scared that he peed his pants. Seeing so many powerhouses die tragically in the hands of this young man, how could he get any better? He immediately ran the true chi in his body and wanted to use Qinggong to escape. Chapter 66. The man in blue fell from the sky, hugged his feet, fell to the ground screaming in pain like a pig being slaughtered, extremely shrill and harsh, and still rolling on the ground. Having his left foot pierced through was simply too painful. This practically wasted half of his strength. The pain caused cold sweat to appear on his forehead and his entire body to tremble. Still want to escape? Xia Ping arrived in front of the man in blue and looked down at him indifferently. How is this possible? The man in blue looked at Xia Ping in disbelief. If you have this ability, why didn't you kill me in the beginning, but followed me to this alley? It's very simple, because I did it on purpose. I just wanted to see who was behind you to plot against me, so I let you escape and followed you here. Xia Ping said lightly. When the man in blue ran away, he knew that the other party did not escape with all his strength, but with a purpose to lead him to this place, so he beat him at his own game. Sure enough, the man in blue was immediately fooled and brought out the person behind him. Let me escape? The man in blue's eyes showed endless regret, and a chill surged in his heart. What a terrible young man, ruthless, cruel, powerful. This is simply the appearance of a hero. If he had known that this kid was such a terrible person, he would never have come to provoke him. Unfortunately, it's too late now, it's too late. Speak. Xiaoping looked at the man in blue. Who told you to cripple me? Such an underworld character is definitely not sent by ordinary people. If he doesn't investigate clearly, he will definitely be unable to sleep and eat in peace. Who knows if such characters will appear one after another. I won't tell you anything, just kill me. The man in blue gritted his teeth, very stubborn, and looked at Xiaoping with hatred in his eyes. It won't be long before you end up like me. You will also die, do you know? He didn't want to tell Xiaoping anything. So that's how it is. It's a pity that you used it in the wrong place. Xiaoping said coldly. But do you think that I can't do anything about it? With a whoosh, he took out a red pill from his body. This is the beginner honesty pill that has just been exchanged from the system. It is worth 100 hatred points. As long as you take this honesty pill, no matter how stubborn a person is, they will not be able to tell a lie. What is this? The blue-clothed man's eyes were filled with fear. He didn't know what this strange thing was, but before he could resist, Xiaoping grabbed his mouth and forcefully fed him. Gurgle soon. The pill was swallowed by the blue-clothed man and was quickly digested in his stomach. What did you feed me? Is it poison? The man in blue stared at Xiaoping with resentment. It's useless. I've said it before. Even if you threaten me with death, I won't say anything. Xiaoping asked, tell me, who is the person behind you? I'm not too sure about that. I'm just a small fry, an errand boy. Only Big Brother Chundong knows who's behind this. The man in blue instinctively said this, but his face immediately showed a look of horror. How is this possible? Why did I spill the beans? What the hell is going on? Turns out to be a small fry. You don't know anything, but you're still being stubborn here. I'm so disappointed. Xiaoping was very disappointed. Then what do you know? Hearing this, the man in blue suddenly became angry. Shut up. I'm also a very important character, do you know that? It's not that I don't know anything. At least I know that Chundong and the others not only want to deal with you but even your mother. Counting the time, they have already sent someone to drive a car and break your mother's leg. What? Hearing this, Xiaoping clenched his fists, and his eyes showed coldness. He said almost word by word, they not only want to deal with me but also want to deal with my mother? Do they want to die? His body was filled with a terrifying murderous aura, almost condensed into a substance. To be honest, he was not a person who was easily angered, but the way these people did things had touched his bottom line. They were simply unscrupulous, and they even dared to do something to his parents. A violent flame surged in Xiaoping's heart. No matter who it was, if they dared to do something to his parents, they would have to pay the price. Ring ring. At this moment, his cell phone rang. It was his father, Xiachuan Lu, who called. He picked it up, and an anxious voice came from the other side. Son, something happened to your mother. Dad, I'm listening. Xiaoping gritted his teeth and clenched his fists. Xiachuan Lu said, just now, your mother was about to close the stall and go home, but she didn't expect a madman to disobey the traffic rules. He ran amok and directly hit your mother. She was seriously injured on the spot. Now your mother has been sent to the First People's Hospital of Tianshui City for rescue. That bastard hit and ran away. Anyway, I'll go see your mother first after work. You can take care of dinner tonight. After saying that, he hung up the phone with a snap. Damn it! Xiaoping stepped on the ground, and with a bang, a hole immediately appeared in the ground. Gravel flew everywhere and there was a roar. It was like a wild elephant trampling on the ground, and more than a dozen cracks spread out. When the man in blue saw this scene, his whole body trembled, and he looked at Xiaoping in horror. I've already told them everything. Why don't you let me go and spare me this time? You also know that I'm just a small fry, innocent. Boom! Xiaoping's backhand palm, with more than 1,000 pounds of force, smashed the top of the man in blue's head in an instant. The man died on the spot and no longer breathed. No one is innocent. The moment you dare to attack my family, you must die. He looked at the dead man in blue indifferently, without the slightest pity. A poisonous snake like this, if he let it go, it will only bite him back, so it's better to get rid of it immediately. Exchange corpse-dissolving water. Xiaoping moved his mind and spent 100 hatred points to exchange for a bottle of corpse-dissolving water. He dripped the liquid on the dead bodies on the ground one by one. Suddenly the corpses on the ground, even the blood, melted like ice and snow the moment they came into contact with the corpse-dissolving water. They quickly turned into a wisp of smoke and disappeared from this world. Except for Xiaoping, no one knew that these people were dead, and even their corpses could not be found again. In a big city like Tianshui City, it's normal for a few people to disappear sometimes. No matter who the people behind you are, if you dare to hurt my family, you can't escape. Xiaoping's eyes showed a cold light, left the dark alley, and walked towards the First People's Hospital of Tianshui City. Chapter 67. Tianshui City First People's Hospital. When Xiaoping arrived at the hospital, he saw his father sitting outside the emergency room. His face was ashen as if the sky had fallen, and his whole body was trembling. "Dad, how is Mom?" Xiaoping asked immediately. When Xia Chuanlu saw his son coming, his tone was very heavy. "Your mother is out of danger. Because of the timely rescue, her life is not in danger. Technology is very advanced now. As long as she doesn't die on the spot, she can be saved. But after being hit like this, your mother's legs are fractured, and they are comminuted fractures, making her a disabled person. It will cost at least 700,000 to treat her." Xiaoping also knew why his father's face was so dignified. Although they were a family of 3 and their usual consumption was not very large, it was simply impossible to take out 700,000 in a short time. They hadn't even paid off the house loan. How could their family take out 700,000? Moreover, the other party ran away after the accident, and they couldn't even find his shadow. It was impossible to compensate in a short time. "There's no other way." Xia Chuanlu gritted his teeth. "We can only sell the family house to get enough for the handling fee." Fortunately, the real estate industry in Tianshui City is still relatively advanced now. The value is very fast and it is easy to sell. We should be able to sell it for 1.3 million. Even if we pay off the loan, there will be 1 million left. It's just that it will be harder in the future. We can only rent a house to live in. He didn't expect such a thing to happen. It was simply an unexpected disaster. "Dad, don't worry, we don't need to sell the house." Xiaoping said in a deep voice, "I will pay for it." "What?" Xia Chuanlu was stunned. "You will pay?" He wondered if there was something wrong with his ears. His son wanted to pay 700,000 federal coins alone. "Yes, I will pay it." Xiaoping nodded. "I just made a sum of money before and got 1 million federal coins. It's more than enough to pay 700,000 federal coins for medical expenses. It's nothing." He took out his phone and projected a page, showing the amount on his bank account. Seeing the number above, Xia Chuanlu was stunned. "Son, this is really 1 million? Where did you get it from? Did you rob it?" He was crazy. He had worked for more than 20 years and lived frugally. So far, he didn't have 1 million in savings, but his son was only a high school student and hadn't come out to work yet. But how could he have 1 million yuan in savings? How was this possible? "I wrote a novel and made a lot of money." Xiaoping gave a brief account of what happened on the internet and explained the origin of his money. Then he said, "Also, how could I rob someone? I would be shot before I could even enter the door. I don't think there's much cash in the bank." Xia Chuanlu nodded. In this day and age, electronic money was the most popular currency. Although paper money was still used, it was greatly reduced. Direct online transfers were used. Even inside a bank, there wouldn't be a large amount of cash, not to mention the strict security inside the bank. The security guards were all armed, so who would dare to trespass? Thinking of this, he could only accept this explanation, and he couldn't help but feel a trace of gratification in his heart. Although he was useless, his son was promising. At least he didn't have to sell his house and live on the streets. "Dad, I'll transfer the money to you. Go and pay for Mom so that she can receive treatment as soon as possible." Xiaoping transferred the 1 million federal coins in his account to his father's bank account. With a ding sound, Xiachuanlu immediately received the information that his bank account had more than 1 million federal coins. As if in a dream, his hands were trembling. His son really earned 1 million. But he quickly restrained his emotions and said, "Okay, I'll go to the hospital immediately to pay and have the doctor arrange an operation for you as soon as possible. Now that medical technology is advanced, as long as there is money, there is no disease that can't be cured." He was in high spirits and immediately went to pay the bill. Seeing his father leave, Xiaoping clenched his fists, and a cold light appeared in his eyes. "Hit and run? Don't think you can escape like this, I will definitely catch you." "System, what method do you have to track a strange enemy?" The system's voice immediately sounded. "There are a total of 3,983 methods, which are suitable for the current situation of the host. There is probably one that requires a relatively low hatred value." "Speak," Xiaoping said in a deep voice. The system replied, "There is a secret book called 10,000 Miles Tracking Technique. It operates the true qi in the body and can simulate the nose of a dog, distinguishing 9,873 smells. Even if it is 10,000 miles away, it can still track the other party. As long as the host learns this technique, it will be easy to find strange enemies. It is worth 1,000 hatred points." Xiaoping did not hesitate. "Buy it?" "Yes." The host deduct 1,000 hatred points. The system's voice came out. Immediately, Xiaoping felt that there was a mantra in his mind, and then he instinctively ran this mantra, running along the mysterious route, and the true qi in his body surged. In a moment, his nose seemed to have a trace of it, as if the whole world had become different, and there seemed to be countless smells in the air. Men's, women's, stones, potions, clothes, shoes, and so on, all kinds of complex smells mixed together, intertwined into a world of smells. But this world of smells is incomparably clear in Xiaoping's mind. Whoosh! 10 minutes later, Xiaoping left the First People's Hospital of Tianshui City and came to the scene of the accident. It was a street and there was still a blue car and a small cart. He saw that the blue car had been dented and deformed, and the small cart was broken into pieces. It can be imagined how serious the traffic accident just happened. At this time, the scene has been blocked by cloth strips. As the scene of the crime, the police still need to investigate the situation. Even the car and the small cart have to be left at the scene and have not been taken away for the time being. But after a while, these things should be moved away so as not to block the traffic. Driving without a license? Xiaoping's eyes flashed a cold light. Seeing that there was no license plate on the blue car, he knew that the other party deliberately drove this car over and hit his mother. Even if there was an accident, the police would not be able to trace the owner of the car through this car. It is estimated that this person has already thought of all kinds of retreat and has a strict plan. With such a thing happening, it is estimated that the other party has long wanted to run away. Want to run? I will definitely catch you. Chapter 68. At night, in a remote warehouse in Tianshui City. There were no signs of human habitation around the warehouse. There were car parts and other garbage everywhere. It seemed to be a car recycling station, specializing in recycling those scrapped cars. The air was filled with the strong smell of gasoline. At this time, there was a brightly lit room in the middle of the warehouse. There were two middle-aged men inside. One was bald and the other was fat, at least 200 or 300 pounds. Their characteristics were very obvious. "Kongshui, how did it go? Did it go well?" The fat man looked at the bald man, Kongshui, sitting opposite him with a burning gaze, as if he was asking for his opinion. The bald man picked up a glass of beer on the table, took a sip and said, "Of course it went smoothly. That woman was hit by me on the spot. She was lucky not to die. Although I ran fast, I could hear the ambulance coming from behind. That woman's legs must have been broken. Mengchong, are you still worried about me, Kongshui?" He showed a proud look. "Indeed." The fat man, Mengchong, also nodded. "Back then, you were also an underground racer. You were the best at driving. Controlling a car to break a person's legs was a piece of cake, but I didn't expect you to take this kind of business." "Of course." The bald man, Kongshui, said with a smile, "That's a reward of 3 million federal dollars. Even if I drive 10 times, I may not get that much. Now it's just breaking a person's legs. It's a piece of cake." The most serious situation is a hit and run. If you're caught, you'll be sentenced to 7 years at most. Of course, it's best if you're not caught by the police and don't go to prison. He calculated it very clearly and had already thought about all kinds of consequences. Don't worry about that. The fat man, Meng Chong, smiled slightly. The car you drove was put together by me using the parts here. It's a model that absolutely doesn't exist on the market. Even the police can't find the origin of this car. You also know how much I paid to help you. I want 30% of the reward this time. His eyes also showed a greedy look. He didn't feel the slightest bit of guilt or even pity for the possibility of killing a person. Nothing was more important than money. Don't worry, we're just waiting for the client to pay the bill. The bald man, Kong Shui, waved his hand. You should know how trustworthy I am. I will never go back on my word. There will be many opportunities for us to work together in the future. The fat man, Meng Chong, also nodded his head. He naturally trusted this brother of his that he had known for a long time. He said, however, does the woman that you sent flying have any background? If you end up provoking some trouble, it would be a little too much for you to gain. He was a little worried about that. You don't have to worry about that. I've already investigated that family. They're definitely commoners. Their 3 generations of ancestors don't have any prominent figures, and they don't know any high officials or nobles. The bald man sneered. That woman's husband is just a city enforcement officer. Her son is still a high school student with average grades. Her relatives and friends are also ordinary people. To be honest, even if they know that I did it, they can't do anything to me. They're just commoners. So what if I kill them? Are you going to bite me? His face was full of disdain. But I'm afraid that the police will come to investigate. The fat man, Meng Chong, was still a little cautious. I think it's better for you to leave Tianshui City and avoid the limelight. It's not too late to come back to this place after this storm is over. The bald man, Kong Shui, also nodded. I know this. I've booked a ticket for tomorrow morning. I'll leave after a night's rest. I'll come back after hiding for half a year. I guess by then this case will be unsolved. He already had a series of detailed plans. No need. You won't be able to leave Tianshui City for the rest of your life. Suddenly there was a sound outside the room. With a snap, the door opened. What? Both Meng Chong and Kong Shui were startled. They immediately jumped up from their chairs and looked at the door vigilantly. However, they saw a young man who looked like a high school student walking in from the door. Suddenly, they breathed a sigh of relief. Kid, who the hell are you? Do you know that this is a private residence? You're breaking into a private residence. If I call the police, you'll immediately be arrested and sent to prison for 7 days. The fat man, Meng Chong, threatened fiercely, trying to intimidate the young man in front of him. You should know very well who I am. The woman you hit today was my mother. Do you understand now? The person who spoke was Xia Ping. He used the 10,000 miles tracking technique to trace all the way to this warehouse and finally found the culprit. Even when he heard the words of these 2 people, a violent rage surged in his heart. He couldn't suppress it at all. What? The bald man, Kong Shui, was shocked. His face couldn't help but change. You're that woman's son? How is that possible? How did you track this place? He couldn't believe it. In order to create this traffic accident, he made a thorough plan. Even if the police had all kinds of high-tech means, they couldn't track him. But now, that woman's son actually came directly to his door and found him. I naturally have my own means. You don't need to know why. Xia Ping looked at the bald man faintly and said, the purpose of my coming here is very simple. There are only 2. One is to find the person behind the scenes, and the other is to kill you. The killing intent in his heart was almost uncontrollable. If the other party drove a little faster and the ambulance was a little later, his mother would not just be disabled. It was also very likely that she would be killed directly. But these 2 bastards, just for a little money, did such a heartless thing. How could he forgive them? Kill us. The fat man, Meng Chong, suddenly smiled, but it was a sneer. What can a high school student like you do? Coming here alone is a mistake on your part. Die for me. As soon as his voice fell, he immediately pulled out a sharp long knife from under the table. His move was fierce and ruthless. A cold light flashed in the air, and he stabbed towards Xia Ping's chest. Don't look at his fat figure, but when he really moved, he was extremely agile like an ape. This fat man was also a strong martial artist at the 8th heaven. Snake fist, poisonous snake tail. In an instant, Xiaoping's figure was like a poisonous snake. In an instant, he went around the back of the fat man. With a light palm, he fell from the sky and slapped on the top of his head. Chapter 69. Boom! The fat man's eyes widened in disbelief, as if he couldn't believe that he had been killed just like that. His hand was still in a stabbing position. Immediately, his huge body, which weighed more than 150 kilograms, fell to the ground, splashing dust. A large amount of blood flowed from his body, staining the cement floor red. Fortunately, there was no one around. Otherwise, such a heavy smash would definitely be heard by the neighbors. Run! Seeing that his companion had been killed by a young man who looked like a high school student, the bald man, Kong Shui, was so scared that he wet his pants. He felt a terrible chill all over his body, and his whole body was trembling. Out of instinct, which had been in the underworld for a long time, he felt extremely dangerous. He wanted to escape from the house at an extremely fast speed, like a race car. Want to escape? Xiaoping's eyes revealed a trace of coldness, and he grabbed a handful of stones from his trouser pocket. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. In an instant, 2 or 3 stones flew out as fast as lightning, tearing through the air and whistling. In an instant, they pierced through the bald man's feet, leaving 2 bloody holes. Ah! The bald man let out a shrill scream. With a thud, he immediately fell to the ground. His face hit the ground hard, and his nose was bruised and swollen. Moreover, the pain of his legs being pierced spread all over his body. The pain made him break out in a cold sweat and tremble all over. It was a pain he had never experienced in his life. You almost killed my mother with your car. Do you think I'll let you escape? Xiaoping came in front of the bald man and looked down at him. The bald man was terrified. He trembled and said, "Spare me, I didn't do it on purpose, I really didn't do it on purpose. I wasn't the one who wanted to kill your mother. It wasn't me. Although I was the one who carried it out, the one who ordered me was someone else. He was terrified to the extreme. Seeing that the fat man was killed in an instant, he did not doubt the ruthlessness of the young man in front of him. He was definitely the kind of underworld hero. In an instant, he was shocked by the young man's means and did not dare to say anything tough. I know you're just a puppet, but that doesn't cover up your mistakes. If it weren't for you, my mother wouldn't have been hospitalized with serious injuries. She almost died. Xiaoping's eyes were filled with coldness. Whoever dares to touch my family, no matter who it is, must pay the price. The bald man, Kong Shui, shouted loudly, "Spare my life. Don't you want to know who is behind this? If you spare my life, I will tell you everything without hiding anything." "There's no need. You'll tell me everything," Xiaoping said indifferently. With a swoosh, he took out an honesty pill and immediately stuffed it into the bald man's mouth, forcing him to swallow it. After a while, the bald man's body immediately reacted, and his eyes were blank. "Tell me, who ordered you to do this?" Xiaoping asked. The bald man, Kong Shui, immediately said, "It was the owner of the Zhou restaurant, Zhou Ding, who ordered me to do this. He offered me $3 million federal dollars to break your mother's legs. If your father wasn't still working for the government, he would have been crippled as well." "What?" Xiaoping clenched his fists, and endless anger surged in his heart. The owner of the Zhou restaurant, Zhou Ding, not only wanted to kill his mother, but also wanted to cripple his father? Wait, Zhou Ding? Zhou restaurant? His eyes flashed and he immediately thought of something. No wonder I thought the name was familiar. Zhou Ding is Zhou Tai'an's father. In other words, Zhou Tai'an was the one who ordered this, and the purpose was to take revenge on me. He immediately understood the origin of this matter. It must be Zhou Tai'an's revenge. It is said that they have a follow-up plan. The bald man, Kong Shui, said in a deep voice, "Even if you cure your injuries, they will make a second plan. Their ultimate goal is to destroy your family and make you bankrupt. They won't stop until you become a cripple and beg on the streets." He told her everything he knew. Damn it! Xiaoping clenched his fists and his killing intent boiled. His eyes revealed a cold light, as if the temperature around him had dropped by more than 10 degrees. He knew that Zhou Tai and was a ruthless person who would seek revenge for the smallest grievance. But he did not expect the other to be so ruthless. He would not be satisfied until his family was destroyed. Zhou Tai and Zhou Ding. Xia Ping clenched his teeth. How dare you do such a thing? I will not forgive you. Then he asked for the location of Zhou Ding's family and other information. With a slap, the bald man Kong Shui regained consciousness. He seemed to realize what he had just said, and his expression changed. How is this possible? I actually told you everything without hiding anything. What exactly did you feed me just now? He immediately knew that the reason why he had become so strange must have something to do with the strange pill. But what kind of pill could make him say anything so easily? There was no way to lie. He suddenly felt that this young man was extremely mysterious and could not be provoked. But it was too late to find out now. You don't need to know what I ate. Xia Ping looked coldly at the bald man. The reason is simple. Dead people don't need to know anything. No. Kong Shui shouted. I've already told you everything. You can't kill me. You definitely can't kill me. Do you understand? This is against the law. It's against the law. He hurriedly struggled and tried to resist. Bang! Before he could finish speaking, Xia Ping sent out a backhand palm strike with a force of 10,000 jin, slamming onto the bald man's head. With a cracking sound, the top of his skull was shattered on the spot, splitting into pieces and bleeding from his 7 orifices. With a slap, his body fell to the ground. His eyes were wide open. Before he died, there seemed to be hatred, fear, unwillingness, and regret. Sizzle, Xia Ping also took out the corpse-dissolving water and dripped it on the 2 men's bodies. In an instant, their bodies were completely melted. Even their clothes disappeared. In an instant, their existences were completely erased. They turned into a wisp of green smoke and disappeared from this world. Even if someone came to this warehouse, they would only think that the 2 men had fled to another city. After all, the 2 men had criminal records. Zhou Ding. A cold light flashed in Xia Ping's eyes. I will come for you. I will not forgive either of you. Just wait to go to hell. Chapter 70. Jingde District. This was a well-known wealthy district in Tianshui City. The houses here were basically villas worth more than 10 million federal dollars, some even more than 100 million. The people who could live here were either rich or noble, and the security was extremely strict. Without the relevant documents and the owner's guarantee, even a fly couldn't get in. In the northeast of this district, there was a 2-story villa. The decoration was extremely simple, with a green back garden and a separate garage, covering an area of about 500 square meters. There were no bodyguards around this villa. Because the security system of Jingde District was enough to ensure the safety of the villa, there was no need to arrange bodyguards in their own villa at all. This was superfluous. At this time, in the living room of the villa, Zhou Ding and Zhou Tai were sitting on the sofa, opposite each other. Dad. Zhou Tai looked a little nervous. Do you think their plan succeeded? After a week of emergency treatment and spending a lot of money, his injuries had long recovered, so he didn't want to stay in the hospital anymore. Instead, he chose to go home. Don't worry. Zhou Ding waved his hand and sneered. The plan has succeeded. The other party called me before, and already drove the woman to the hospital on the spot. Half of her body is paralyzed, and the medical expenses are at least hundreds of thousands. I sent someone to the hospital to check, and it's true. The woman is staying in the emergency room for emergency treatment. He showed a look of planning, not worried about any accidents, and in fact there were no accidents. Hearing this, Zhou Ding was overjoyed, and his eyes showed a fierce light. That's great. If that damn Xia Ping knew about this, he would definitely go crazy. Maybe he would directly faint. But he deserved it. Who told him to be so arrogant? This is the result of offending me, Zhou Ding. But what about Xia Ping? How is he? Are his legs broken? He gritted his teeth. If there was someone he wanted to take revenge on the most, it was undoubtedly Xia Ping. He couldn't wait to see Xia Ping's miserable appearance. He wanted to see this guy kneeling on the ground and begging for mercy. He could only kneel in front of him for the rest of his life. This guy would probably regret for the rest of his life. Why was he so stupid to dare to offend Zhou? There's no news from Chandong's side for now. At this point, Zhou Ding frowned because according to the time, Chandong should have given him a call regardless of whether he succeeded or failed. But until now, he still hadn't received any news. This situation was very strange. Could there have been an accident? Zhou Taiyan was a little worried. Zhou Ding said indifferently, "What accidents can there be? No matter how powerful that kid is, he is just a high school student, a trash of the 7th heavenly layer, and Chandong is a powerhouse of the 9th heavenly layer. In addition, there are more than 10 elite subordinates. All of them are outlaws, cruel and ruthless, and have killed countless people. Once they're caught by the police, it wouldn't be wrong for them to be executed immediately. That brat still wants to escape from these outlaws? You must be dreaming." He sneered, his face full of disdain. In fact, sending out so many people was already thinking too highly of Xiaoping. If it wasn't for the sake of safety, he would have sent Chandong. Hearing this, Zhou Taiyan was immediately relieved and continued to ask, "But what about Xiaoping's father? That guy seems to be alive and kicking. Why not just cripple him? He was ruthless, cruel and ruthless. He wanted to completely cripple Xiaoping's family. I can't find an opportunity for the time being." Zhou Ding said, "After all, that guy is also a civil servant. He works in the government department all day long. We can't go there rashly. If things really get out of hand, it will be very bad for us. But this is only temporary. I've already investigated it clearly. He seems to plan to accompany his wife in the hospital tonight, and will leave the First People's Hospital of Tianshui City tomorrow. That's the opportunity. Once Xia Chuanlu walks out of the hospital door, someone will immediately drive to kill him, and then their family can be reunited in the hospital." His body exuded a dense murderous aura, which made people shudder, showing the ruthlessness of the underworld. Even if he didn't make a move, once he made a move, he would destroy the family and uproot it. Xiaoping, it is estimated that after tomorrow your whole family will fall apart, and it is normal for the family to be destroyed." Zhou Taiyan sneered again and again. "But this is the end of offending my Zhou family. The end of offending me. Don't blame me, who told you to be weak. Weakness is the original sin, can only be pinched by the strong and played wantonly. You Xiaoping's martial arts are indeed powerful, but I don't compare martial arts with you. I compare family background with you. It turns out that it's easy for me, Zhou Taiyan, to play you to death." His eyes showed a fierce light, and his heart was boiling with killing intent. Whiz, whiz, whiz. At this moment 3 piercing sounds came from the sky. They were incomparably mournful and pierced through the eardrums. The glass around the villa seemed to have shattered into pieces, making a clanking sound. "What is it?" Zhou Ding's hair stood on end. As a powerhouse of the 9th heavenly layer of martial disciple, he immediately felt a threatening killing intent covering his whole body. He looked closely and saw 3 stones like sniper bullets, smashing towards him. At this moment he used all his skills, twisting his body at an incredible angle, and did an iron bridge, just in time to avoid the 3 life-threatening stones. With a few bangs, the 3 stones suddenly pierced through the cement wall, revealing 3 holes. Moonlight shone in from outside the holes, and gravel splashed everywhere. From this, it can be seen that the terrifying power of these 3 stones is no less than a sniper bullet. Damn, this is bad. Zhou Ding's face turned green. This was because these 3 stones were only the first killing move. The second killing move came swiftly. A terrifying gust of wind approached his chest, and he could faintly hear the hissing of a poisonous snake. But now, in order to avoid the 3 stones, he had already exhausted his strength, and his body was twisted at an incredible angle. It was simply impossible to resist this move. Dong! A big hand came like a poisonous snake, and with a pucci it instantly pierced through Zhou Ding's chest, bursting Zhou Ding's heart, and blood sprayed out like a fountain. Who is it? Who the hell wants to kill me? Zhou Ding clutched his heart, and severe pain spread throughout his body. He still hadn't seen the enemy's voice, as if the other party was transparent. He also didn't understand how the enemy passed through the heavy security of the community and arrived at his villa. Chapter 71. Xiaoping. Hearing this sentence, this name, whether it was Zhou Taian, who was standing next to him at a loss, or Zhou Ding, who had his heart blown out and barely survived by relying on the tyrannical vitality of a martial artist's ninth heaven cultivation base, they were shocked. They didn't expect that Xia Ping, who they thought had been caught and disabled by their own men, would suddenly appear in their own home and even kill them. Impossible! Zhou Ding yelled. Haven't you been caught by Chen Dong and his men? Your legs are broken, and you have become disabled? How can you still appear in this place? Also, how did you get into the Jingde district? He couldn't believe it and opened his eyes desperately, but he couldn't find Xia Ping's figure. There seemed to be no shadow of Xia Ping in the entire living room. Except for the sound, it seemed that he did not exist in this world. As an underworld hero, Zhou Ding has seen everything. The people who have killed people are countless, and the scenes he has seen are countless, but he has never seen such a strange scene. He couldn't find the enemy, and he didn't even know how the enemy killed him. A deep level of fear spread all over his body at once, making him, the underworld hero, tremble. But how could Zhou Ding know that there is a magical pill in the world, called the invisible pill? After taking it, one cannot be seen by anyone for an hour and become invisible. Even the strong martial artists and even the monitors can't detect his existence. It was because Xia Ping spent a lot of hatred points to exchange for this pill that he could easily enter the extremely strict security of the Jingde district and assassinate Zhou Ding. Do you mean those black-clothed men before? They're all dead. Xia Ping said lightly. His voice sounded in the living room like a ghost, making people shudder. They're all dead. Zhou Ding was even more frightened. Chen Dong was a strong man in the ninth heaven of martial artists, and his strength was almost the same as his own. Chen Dong alone was enough to beat Xia Ping half to death. Not to mention that he also sent a dozen elite men over. The purpose was to make sure nothing went wrong. But such a force could not kill this Xia Ping but was killed instead. How is this possible? How did you kill them? Zhou Ding couldn't help but ask. He couldn't understand this matter no matter how he thought about it. According to his investigation, this kid was also in the seventh heaven of martial arts. Moreover, he didn't have any background, nor did he have any support. However, such a small character could actually kill his elite subordinates and even sneak into the Jingde district without being discovered. How could such a ridiculous thing happen? Could it be that this kid had a secret on him that he didn't know about? Did he have a backer that he didn't know about? Thinking of this, he could not help but feel a deep sense of regret. This time he had really kicked an iron plate. You don't need to know that because dead people don't need to know anything. Xia Ping said coldly, showing no mercy. Whoosh! Another palm strike landed on Zhou Ding's body. Zhou Ding's eyes widened as his body fell to the ground. He was dead. An ambitious and ruthless underworld figure was killed in his own villa just like that. This. Zhou Taian was trembling all over. Seeing his father die in front of him, he was so frightened that he couldn't move, because Xia Ping even killed his own father. What else wouldn't he dare to kill? The next one must be him. But what made Zhou Taian most afraid was that the other party was invisible. He didn't know where Xia Ping was hiding, whether he was outside or standing beside him looking at him coldly. Even if he wanted to escape, he didn't know which direction to escape to. Xia Ping, I was wrong, really wrong. With a plop, Zhou Taian immediately knelt on the ground and kept kowtowing. Spare me this time, as long as you can spare me this time. I can be a cow or a horse for you for the rest of my life, be a dog for you. In order to survive, he gave up all dignity. Even if he knelt to the enemy, he did not hesitate. Spare you this time? If I spare you, then who will spare me? Xia Ping's voice was cold, like a cold current in a world of ice and snow, and even the blood was frozen. If Xia Ping was at a disadvantage, caught by the father and son of the Zhou family, tortured, broken legs, and became a waste. Then he begged for mercy, hoping that the other party would spare his life. Would the other party spare him? Obviously not. According to the cruel methods of this father and son pair, they would be proud of themselves and humiliate him even more. They would not stop until he was tortured to the point where he wished he was dead. There is a conflict between you and me. You can hit me, humiliate me, and use all the means. Even if I am killed by you because of this, I have no regrets. This proves that I, Xia Ping, am just such a man. But you should not have sent people to deal with my parents, to hurt them, and even wanted to cripple them. Just because of this, you, Zhou Taian, have to die. With a bang, Xiaoping raised his palm and slapped it down with a backhand, as if a huge wave surged. No, no, no! Zhou Taiyan was terrified to the extreme, and his face was terrified. He wanted to escape, but it was too late. He was only 1 meter away from Xiaoping, and he knelt on both knees. In addition, Xiaoping's speed was like a poisonous snake moving. At such a distance, at such a speed, how could he escape? Bang! The palm fiercely slapped on the top of Zhou Taiyan's head. The huge force exploded, and in an instant, the top of his head immediately shattered like glass, and a lot of blood flowed out of his 7 orifices. Zhou Taiyan's eyes widened, revealing a look of fear, unwillingness, and regret. He opened his mouth as if he wanted to say something, but nothing came out. He regretted it to the extreme. If he had known that this Xiaoping was such a terrifying person, he would not have gone up to provoke him even if he was beaten to death. Unfortunately, everything was too late. With a bang, his body fell to the ground, making a sound, and blood dripped on the ground. The father and son of the Zhou family were dead. Xiaoping looked at the 2 bodies on the ground indifferently. There was no fluctuation in his heart. If he did not kill these 2 poisonous snakes, then he would definitely be bitten to death by these 2 poisonous snakes, and even his parents would be implicated. If he was given another chance, he would make a move again. He would not even wait for the father and son of the Zhou family to make a move. He would directly eliminate the danger without any mercy. What is this? Xiaoping's eyes flashed. He suddenly saw that on the smooth white wall of the living room, there seemed to be a high-end fingerprint lock. Is there something inside that is locked with this kind of lock? Chapter 72. If it's a fingerprint, it should belong to Zhou Taiyan's father, right? Xiaoping rubbed his chin. Thinking of this, he immediately lifted Zhou Ding's body and placed his right hand on top of the fingerprint lock. Beep! In an instant, the high-grade fingerprint lock beeped. It flashed with a red light. With a snap, the entire wall seemed to crack open and slowly moved to the sides. In just 5 or 6 seconds, a room suddenly appeared behind the white wall. It's actually locked with a high-grade fingerprint lock. What kind of room is this? Xiaoping's eyes flashed. He put down Zhou Ding's body and strode into the secret room. As soon as he stepped into the room, he immediately saw that the room was filled with weapons. There were laser guns, heavy machine guns, sniper guns, and so on. It seemed that most of the guns in the world could be found in this room. In addition to guns, there were all kinds of bombs in the room. There were miniature nuclear bullets, time bombs, and so on. The room was like a small military arsenal. Amazing! Xiaoping's pupils shrank. He was also stunned by the layout of the room. Most of the weapons in the room were illegal. If the things here were to be leaked, the person would definitely be arrested by the police and imprisoned for more than 10 years. Where did this Zhou Ding come from? Why does his family have so many powerful military weapons? Xiaoping frowned. He remembered that Zhou Taiyan's father was a restaurant owner with a net worth of over 100 million. On the surface, he seemed like a law-abiding citizen. But looking at the way this guy did things, he wasn't a good person. Who knew if he had done something dirty behind the scenes? Forget it. Zhou Ding is dead anyway. There's no point in continuing to pursue this. Xiaoping didn't plan to continue to care about this matter. He continued to look around the room to see if he could find any treasures that suited him. No way. Isn't this the body-tempering pill? All of a sudden, he saw a green gourd placed on a wooden table in the room. He opened the lid of the gourd with a smack, and to his surprise, he saw a pile of golden elixirs inside. He immediately recognized that these pills were the legendary body-tempering pills. Amazing! There are actually 20 to 30 of them. This is good. Xiaoping's eyes lit up. He knew that the body-tempering pill was as precious as the gold potion, but it was a little different from the gold potion. Taking this kind of pill could temper one's physique, remove the impurities in one's body, and make one's physical strength even stronger. From a certain point of view, the body-tempering pill was even more precious than the gold potion. This was also evident from the price. A body-tempering pill like this cost at least 1 million federal coins. Moreover, it was priceless in the market. Once it appeared, it would immediately be bought out by the rich. This kind of pill couldn't be bought even if one had the money. 20 to 30 of these body-tempering pills were worth at least 40 to 50 million federal coins. It was incomparably precious. It could be said that these body-tempering pills were more expensive than this villa. I don't know where Zhou Ding got it from. In short, this body-tempering pill belongs to me. Xiaoping smiled and immediately took the green gourd. He continued to search the room. Unfortunately, other than some military weapons, gold, and a large number of federal coins, he did not find any other treasures. He did not have any interest in these gold and other valuables, nor did he plan to take them away. This was because it would be extremely difficult to wash away this money completely. He did not want to get himself into big trouble because of this unknown money. Moreover, Xiaoping was not short of money right now. There was no need for the police to come knocking on his door because of this money. Let's go. After searching around, Xiaoping did not find anything useful, so he left the room. He took out the corpse decomposing water on his body and dripped it on the corpses of Zhou Ding and Zhou Taiyan. With a sizzling sound, the two corpses instantly melted completely, turning into a wisp of green smoke and disappearing from this world. No, this doesn't seem to be clean enough. I have to completely destroy the corpses and erase all traces. Xiaoping knew that once the matter of him killing the Zhou father and son was exposed, he would get into a lot of trouble. He had to get rid of any clues that the police might find. Thinking of this, he returned to the secret room and took out a pile of bombs. He set a timer and planned to detonate them completely in 5 minutes. If these bombs were to be successfully detonated, the entire villa would be smashed away and nothing would be left behind. At that time, it would be impossible to find any clues. Let's go. After doing a series of things, Xiaoping left the villa. Because the effects of the invisible pill had not worn off, he easily left the extremely strict security of Zhengde district without being discovered by anyone. 5 minutes later, he was only a short distance away from Zhengde district. Boom! At this moment, the villa where the Zhou father and son were was immediately detonated by the bombs. There was an earth-shattering explosion, and in an instant the luxurious villa was blown up. Even the entire Zhengde district shook, as if there was a magnitude 4 or 5 earthquake. Some of the glass near the villa cracked and shattered, scattering all over the ground. Damn it, what happened? Is it an earthquake? No, I saw it. There was an explosion in a villa, and the fire rose to the sky. How is this possible? Our security system here is extremely strict. It's impossible for an explosion to happen. Nothing is impossible. The fact is that it happened. Immediately go over and see if there are any casualties. Hurry up and call the police. We security can't handle this matter. Something big happened. Something really big happened. Why did it suddenly explode? The security of the district was shocked. The entire villa was blown up, and it was in the extremely strict security of Zhengde district. This was a big deal, and it would definitely be the top news in Tianshui City. If many people died, it would be even worse. Each of the security guards had a grave expression. Some of them went to check the villa, some called the police, some went to confirm the casualties, and some went to call the ambulance. Woo-woo. When the police received the news, they were also very shocked. They immediately rushed over with their police cars. Within a few minutes, they arrived at Zhengde district. Hundreds of police quickly surrounded the district. At the same time, firefighters came to put out the fire in time, and the hospital and ambulance also arrived. Because of this explosion, the entire Zhengde district could not sleep for the whole night. Chapter 73. The next morning. Xiaoping sat upright on the bed and exhaled a mouthful of white gas. It was so dense that it almost condensed into a substance, like a white chain. The muscles on his body trembled and were covered with a layer of black filth. The air was filled with an unpleasant smell. As expected of the body refining pill, the effect is really too good. He opened his eyes, revealing a terrible light, and felt that his body was unprecedentedly relaxed. After taking 2 or 3 body refining pills last night, he immediately ran his cultivation method and cultivated all night. As a result, this morning the effect of the body refining pill was exhausted, and he felt that a lot of impurities in his body had been eliminated. His body seemed to be twice as light, and his strength had become 3 points stronger. Even the true qi in his body had grown a little stronger. approaching the peak of the seventh heaven of martial arts. If I take this body-refining pill for a while, I may soon be able to break through to the eighth heaven of martial arts. Xiaoping squeezed his fist and felt the powerful strength in his body. Originally, when the golden potion was consumed, he was still thinking about some ways to get some medicinal pills, but he didn't expect to find 20 or 30 body-refining pills on the Zhou father and son. This was simply someone sent a pillow when he wanted to doze off. And the effect of the body-refining pill was also very powerful, and it was worthy of its reputation. In just one night, he felt that his physique was stronger than before. But the impurities removed from my body are too smelly. It seems that I have to take a bath before going to school. Xiaoping immediately got up, went to the bathroom to take a bath, and then came out refreshed. An hour later, Xiaoping changed his clothes, came to school, and returned to his seat. Something big happened, you know? Xiaoping had just sat down and a classmate shouted, "Last night, there was an explosion at Zhou Taiyan's house, and the entire villa was blown up and turned into ruins." At that time, Zhou Tai and Zhou Ding stayed in the villa and didn't escape in time. They were blown up to nothing, and even the police couldn't find their bodies. What? This news shocked the students in the class at once. Even if Zhou Tai lost to Xiaoping in the previous fighting competition, this did not damage Zhou Tai's reputation as a popular figure in Tianshui City 95th High School. After all, Zhou Tai has been a celebrity in the school for 3 years, and it is impossible to disappear so easily. No way is this news true or false. A classmate said suspiciously, "I heard that Zhou Tai lives in a high-end community like the Zhengde district. There are villas inside, and each one is worth tens of millions of federal dollars. In fact, the security system of every house is extremely good. Once there is a problem, someone will immediately go and investigate, putting an end to all safety accidents. Things like gas explosions have long since disappeared hundreds of years ago." Many students also nodded, thinking that it was impossible for this to happen. "TSK," the student said disdainfully, "I didn't fabricate this matter. The news has already reported it, and it has become the headline of Tianshui City today. If you don't believe me, you can see for yourselves." Some students immediately opened their phones and clicked on the news page. "Oh my God, it's actually true." A tall student suddenly exclaimed, "The news is out, and there are pictures of the explosion scene. It's simply a ruin, nothing is left. It's terrible." Many students also saw the report on the web page, and all of them were shocked. My dad is a policeman. What happened last night has long been a hot topic, and I know more or less some inside information," an obese student said mysteriously. Many students immediately asked, "Don't keep us in suspense, hurry up." According to my dad, although they couldn't find the bodies of Zhou Tai and his son at the scene of the villa, they found a lot of wreckage of military weapons. The obese student looked around and whispered, "It is said that these weapons are strictly prohibited by federal law and absolutely not allowed for private ownership. Ordinary people have no channels and can't buy them at all, but they found them in the villa. It is conceivable that there must be a secret in Zhou Taiyan's family." What? A group of students was shocked. They didn't expect there to be such an inside story. So the police guessed that this was not a simple explosion. There must be an inside story. The obese student continued, and the source of this explosion was actually caused by the bomb in Zhou Taiyan's home. If it wasn't for Zhou Taiyan's bad luck, he accidentally fired when playing with these bombs and killed himself. Then it must be the enemy of the Zhou family who wanted to retaliate against the Zhou family. So he installed a bomb in the villa and blew up all the Zhou family. He said what he knew about his guess. No way, isn't Zhou Taiyan's father a restaurant owner? How could there be an enemy? Didn't you hear that a lot of prohibited weapons were found in his home? It is estimated that Zhou Taiyan's father is not just a restaurant owner. Maybe there is a secret in the dark. It's true that it's unusual to find so many weapons in the villa. Zhou Taiyan is really unlucky. He was just beaten by Xiaoping and lost all his face. Now his enemy came to find him and blew him up. Indeed, looking at Zhou Taiyan's life is full of tragedies, a dramatic life. Many students talked about it and they all felt the death of Zhou Taiyan, but they didn't feel too sad. For them, Zhou Taiyan was just a stranger. Even if he died, they just treated it as news. The world would continue to operate without anyone. As the instigator, Xia Ping remained unmoved. His expression was the same as usual, without any change. Xia Ping. At this time, Zhang Yara walked over to Xia Ping's side. What is it? Xia Ping raised his eyebrows. He thought that Zhang Yara was here to cause trouble because he had spread so many rumors before. He reckoned that she was furious. But Zhang Yara didn't look angry at all. Her expression was even very calm. The teacher is looking for us. She wants us to go to her office. Let's go together. Her beautiful eyes contained an incomparably complicated expression, as if there was something she wanted to say to Xia Ping. The teacher is looking for us? Xia Ping blinked, very confused. Zhang Yara said in a low voice, it should be about the school's trial. School trial? Xia Ping was even more confused. He had never heard of such a thing. In short, just follow me to the teacher's office. When the time comes, the teacher will explain to you. Zhang Yara said. She reached out and grabbed Xia Ping's hand, directly pulling him out of his seat. Chapter 74. On the way to the teacher's office. Zhang Yara hesitated for a moment, looked at Xia Ping and asked worriedly, I heard Auntie had a car accident. How is she now? Is she okay? Hearing this, Xia Ping immediately understood why Zhang Yara didn't look for him. It turned out that he had heard about his mother, which was why he had such an expression. She was hit by someone and is now partially paralyzed. Xia Ping said in a deep voice, but her situation has temporarily stabilized. It will take about a week for her to recover after soaking in the nutrient solution. Speaking of this, his mood was a lot more relaxed because his mother's condition was gradually improving. In a week, she would be discharged from the hospital and return to her original healthy body. Partially paralyzed? Nutrient solution. Zhang Yara was shocked. As far as I know, this nutrient solution is extremely expensive. If you want to soak it once, I'm afraid it will cost hundreds of thousands of federal dollars. This is not a small amount. Nutrient solution was a special life potion made from dozens of precious materials. If a person with a bone fracture was soaked in the nutrient solution, it could speed up the healing of the bone, and even a comminuted fracture could be successfully treated. Before, Xiong Batian, Zhou Taiyan, and the others were injured and hospitalized. They recovered in just a week because they were soaked in the nutrient solution, which accelerated the healing of their injuries. But there was no doubt that this nutrient solution was extremely expensive. People from ordinary families simply couldn't afford it. It's okay. Xia Ping waved his hand. You also know that I wrote a novel before and made a lot of money from it. Although the medical expenses are expensive, it's not too much of a burden for me now. Zhang Yara also immediately remembered that this man had written an erotic novel. It seemed to be very popular on the internet, but the content was very shameless and unbearable. She looked at Xia Ping with a little doubt. Can this novel really make that much money? Although she also knew that the top novelists could make more than $1 billion federal dollars every year. That was only the top novelists. And Xia Ping was just a high school student, and it was his first novel. Was he really that good? Of course it's true, I don't have to lie. But why are you asking these things? Do you want to test my ability to make money? Xia Ping touched his chin, showing a look of sudden realization. Then he looked at Zhang Yara with a smile. Don't worry about this. Although I don't have much ability, I can still provide for my family in the future. I definitely won't let my wife and kids go hungry. He patted his chest and promised. Who asked you about these things? Shameless. Zhang Yara was angered half to death. Her face was bright red as she glared at this shameless bastard. He was trying to take advantage of her again. She also remembered those hateful rumors from before, saying that she was pregnant with this bastard's child, and that there were still 3 months left. The school was abuzz with this rumor, and even her parents knew about it. If it wasn't for her repeated assurance, she would have been taken to the hospital by her parents for a checkup, and all of this was the fault of the hooligan in front of her. Xia Ping had an innocent look on his face. But isn't that what you asked? Ask your ass. Zhang Yara was angered half to death. She only wanted to ask if she could make so much money, but this bastard was actually thinking about his wife and children. If he continued to ask like this, did he already think about how many children he would have in the future? and which kindergarten he planned to go to. Don't think that just because something happened to Auntie, you can take a mile after I treat you a bit better. I still haven't settled the account of you spreading rumors on the stage before. Jiang Yaru glared at Xia Ping. In short, if you continue to spread these strange rumors in school, I will definitely go to your house and tell Auntie to punish you. She angrily threatened Xia Ping. All right, we've arrived at the teacher's office. Let's go in. Xia Ping waved his hand and directly walked towards the office. Jiang Yaru gnashed her teeth. This bastard had changed the topic again. But sooner or later, she would find a chance to take care of this bastard. For now, she would let him go. Entering the office, the head teacher, Choshua, was sitting in front of her desk. She was wearing a black women's suit that outlined a perfect curve, exuding the temperament of a mature and charming city beauty. Xia Ping sighed with emotion. This head teacher of his was definitely a pleasing beauty. No wonder she had so many pursuers in school, and even became the dream lover of many students. Whoosh! Jiang Yaru suddenly stepped forward and blocked Xia Ping's line of sight. She looked at Xia Ping with a look of disdain and vigilance, as if she was looking at some kind of invincible pervert. She knew that this shameless man had improper thoughts about the beautiful and mature teacher. He even wrote a shameless erotic novel because of this. If he continued to be alone with the teacher like this, maybe this bastard would become a beast and do something uncontrollable, even going beyond the bottom line of morality. Xia Ping was speechless. He also knew why Jiang Yaru was so vigilant against him. It was clearly because she was worried that he would do something to the teacher. But even if he was hungry, he wouldn't attack the teacher in the office. Ahem, Yaru, I know you have a good relationship with Xia Ping, but there's no need to stick together all the time. This is a school, pay attention to your image. At this time, the head teacher, Choshua, coughed, seemingly reminding the two of them to pay attention in front of the teacher and not go too far and make such intimate movements. Although Jiang Yaru thought she was protecting the teacher, in Choshua's eyes, it was clearly a public display of affection in front of her, revealing intimate movements between lovers. Teacher, it's not like that. Jiang Yaru's pretty face suddenly turned red, and she hurriedly explained. Choshua waved her hand, looking like she was also an experienced person, and said, Forget it, you don't need to explain to me. Anyway, you're both 18 years old, already adults, and you know what you're doing. In short, you just need to pay attention to your image. After all, this is a school, a sacred place for learning. Teacher, I understand. Thank you for your teachings. Xia Ping replied very honestly. Understand my ass. Jiang Yaru's nose was crooked from anger. What do you mean I understand? Isn't this confirming that the two of them have an unspeakable secret? How can I explain this? Isn't it just making things worse? Well, it's good that you know. Choshua nodded with satisfaction. Next, I'll explain to you about the school trial the day after tomorrow. Listen carefully, it's very important. She went straight to the main topic and no longer paid attention to those small things. Chapter 75. The purpose of this school's training is to participate in the Tianshui City High School fighting competition. Is not equal to the homeroom teacher, Choshu immediately said. For this special training you don't need to pay any fees. Those who can participate are basically the top 10 experts in the school. The two of you are one of them. However, there are also students who can pay a high fee to participate in this special training. However, the number of people can't exceed 10. Therefore, there will be a total of 20 people participating in this special training. She held up 2 fingers. But teacher, I heard that there are other schools participating in this special training. Jiang Yaru was also very well informed. She had heard a lot of gossip from her friends. Choshu nodded. That is indeed the case. This time we plan to go to the Beast Island for the training. The fees are very high. If it was just one school, the fees would be too high. We can't afford it. So the school's higher-ups have joined forces with other high schools. In total, there are 10 schools participating in this special training together. When the time comes, there will also be students from other schools participating. 10 schools. Xia Ping's eyes flickered. This was really a big investment. Sure enough, getting good results in the fighting competition was the right thing to do. If it was an ordinary student, how could they have the qualifications to enjoy this kind of special training? Sometimes the path of martial arts was like this. The strong became stronger, and the weak became weaker. Because the resources and training received by both sides were not on the same level, the gap would naturally grow bigger and bigger. Because this special training will be going to the Beast Island, Choshu continued, there are all kinds of powerful and terrifying beasts living on that island. Going to that remote island for the training will have a certain degree of danger. Therefore, you must sign a life and death contract and obtain the consent of your guardian to participate. She took out 2 contracts from the drawer. If you agree, plus your parents agree, then sign this contract. The day after tomorrow, you will go to the Beast Island to participate in the special training. If you don't agree, then it will be considered that you have given up on this special training. Xia Ping and Zhang Yara both reached out their hands to receive the contract. However, they definitely had to participate. This kind of special training was rare. Although there was a certain degree of danger, it wouldn't be fatal. Signing the so-called life and death contract was just a formality. In fact, the school would organize this kind of special training every year, but there had never been any major incidents. Therefore, there were not many parents and students who would reject such special training. Okay, that's it. You can take the agreement and hand it to me tomorrow. Choshu was swift and decisive. After giving instructions, she immediately ordered them to leave. 2 days passed in the blink of an eye. Xia Ping arrived at school in the morning because the school had decided to gather in the middle of the school's sports field. After 2 days of cultivation and taking 4 or 5 body refining pills, he felt that the true qi in his body seemed to have grown a little stronger, and a lot of impurities had been refined out. He had reached the peak of the 7th layer of martial disciple. If this continued, it wouldn't be long before he could clear his 8th meridian. Fortunately, he had the help of the body-tempering pill, otherwise Xia Ping would not be able to cultivate so quickly. Not long after, Xia Ping arrived at the school sports ground. He saw some school teachers, the dean, the vice principal, and his class teacher Choshua had already arrived at the scene. Even the students who came to participate in the special training came. Among them were Zhang Yar, Zhuerqin, Hong Yu, and others who entered the top 4. Even Xiong Badian, Tao Yun, Goldman Sachs, and other students who had played against him came, and some top students of the school. Almost all the top 20 elites of Tianshui City 95th Middle School came to this sports ground. Hey Xiong Badian, you also came to participate in the special training? Xia Ping went up to greet the old acquaintance enthusiastically and said, but how do I remember that you don't seem to be in the top 10 masters? Did you pay money to come in? Pay your sister. Xiong Baishan's nose was crooked. This bastard is touching the pot that doesn't open. Where is there someone who specifically mentions this kind of thing? Isn't this clearly satirizing him for going through the back door and paying money to get in? This bastard is too poisonous. He wants to beat his face swollen. Tao Yun, you're here too. I haven't seen you for a long time. I miss you very much. Now I still remember the life and death battle between you and me on the ring. Xia Ping also greeted Tao Yun, very emotional. Miss your uncle. Hearing this, Tao Yun's mouth twitched. Was that a life and death battle? It was clearly a battle to humiliate Tao Yun. Because of that battle, he became the laughingstock of the school and was nicknamed the crybaby. Now he can't even lift his head when he walks on the road. Whenever Tao Yun thinks of that, he wishes he had never participated in that game. He will never forget the face of this hateful Xia Ping in his life. Even when night falls, this guy will appear in his nightmares. Not to mention how painful it is, it can be said that he doesn't want to see this bastard again in his life. Unexpectedly, this guy dared to come up and say hello. Yo, isn't this Goldman Sachs? Your injury has healed so quickly. Did you soak in the nutrient solution? That thing is very valuable. It's good to have money in your family. Xia Ping stepped forward and patted Goldman Sachs on the shoulder, enviously. Good your ass. Goldman Sachs was so angry that his face turned green and his whole body trembled. The reason why he went to the hospital to run the nutrient solution was thanks to this bastard. But this bastard dared to come over and be so sarcastic. His family is rich, but they can't give it all to the hospital. Is there such a sarcasm? The mouths of the top students of the school twitched. They have long heard that this Xia Ping is an extremely annoying guy, but they didn't expect it to be even more annoying than they imagined. Even if this matter has nothing to do with them, they all had the urge to beat this bastard up. Why didn't anyone seal this bastard's mouth? It's too vicious. Xiaping, what are you doing? Don't talk nonsense. Zhang Yaro also couldn't stand it anymore. If he let this bastard continue to talk nonsense, he's afraid that before they even get on the spaceship, they will start fighting. Cough cough. Choshu, the homeroom teacher, was also speechless. This is the first time she saw a student in her class being so annoying. She coughed a few times and said, Xiaping, since you're here, then everyone is here. Let's get on the spaceship. The people from other schools have also been waiting for a long time. Chapter 76. Xiaping looked over. In fact, when he first entered the stadium, he found a silver streamlined spaceship parked in the middle of the stadium. The appearance was full of sci-fi. This spaceship looked like an ordinary ship, but it used a gravity-free system. It could land and take off at any time. The speed was extremely fast, several times faster than ordinary planes. It was estimated that the school rented it from a spaceship company in order to send them to Beast Island. Let's go. Choshu, the head teacher, said. Whoosh. Hearing this sentence, the students of Tianshui City's 95th Middle School all nodded, followed the school teacher, boarded the spaceship, and entered the interior space. When they entered, everyone found that the interior of the spaceship was vast and beautifully decorated. It was a bit like a luxurious restaurant with seats everywhere. There were even a lot of drinks, snacks, and so on the seats. There were also LCD screens on the walls of the spaceship, which could observe the situation outside and play TV and movies. Moreover, the spaceship restaurant was divided into 10 areas. Each area was where a school was located. There were seats on it, which seemed to have been arranged by someone. As for the location of Tianshui City's 95th Middle School, it was in the east corner. There were some words on the chairs, indicating that this was the chair of Tianshui City's 95th Middle School. Amazing, what a luxurious spaceship. This is the first time I have taken such a spaceship. A student said excitedly. Other students also nodded because they rarely had such an opportunity to take a spaceship. Even the price of each spaceship ticket was not cheap. It was not affordable for ordinary students. At this time, many students had entered the spaceship, and all of them were sitting in their seats. These were the top students of other middle schools, and Tianshui City's 95th Middle School was the last batch. Xiaping glanced at the people around him. He found that many students were familiar to him. It seemed that when he challenged the school, many of these students were also present. So he immediately went up and greeted them enthusiastically. Hey, hello everyone, I haven't seen you for a long time. Aren't you a student of Wuxia Martial Arts Hall? Sorry about last time. I didn't know how to control my strength and sent most of your people to the hospital. How are you now? Are you feeling better? Hearing this, several Wuxia Martial Arts Hall students' faces turned green. Obviously, they also recognized this god of plague. All of them cursed in their hearts. How could they meet this god of plague here? They all turned their faces away and pretended not to know him. Xiaping didn't mind and continued to greet them. Isn't that someone from the Flying Pig Dojo? I didn't expect that you guys would also participate in the special training. What a coincidence. Do you want to practice with us later? I've challenged so many dojos, but you guys are the most resilient. If I wasn't in a hurry, I'm afraid I would have to stay in your dojo for a few days. Stop your grandpa. The group of students from the Flying Pig Dojo were fuming. They recalled how this bastard had come to their dojo to challenge them, and had actually despised them for not having enough strength. He had flown into a rage out of humiliation and had beaten them up like sandbags. Now they all wished they could rush up and spit on this bastard's face. Without a doubt, if this guy dared to stay in their dojo, they would definitely put laxatives in his food. They wouldn't stop until he had diarrhea for 7 days and 7 nights. Yo, isn't that a student from the Tiger Dojo? The injuries on your bodies have also healed. What a pity. Aya, the people from the Rhino Dojo are also here. What a coincidence. I feel that we are fated to be together. Let's go to a bar and have a glass of milk next time. The people from the Hurricane Dojo are also here. I'm really sorry. I kicked your eldest senior brother in a vital spot. I didn't know how to control my strength at that time. But who asked him to jump around in front of me? It's getting a little annoying. Xiaping went up and greeted the students along the way. He was very enthusiastic and had a wide social network. It was very rare. He knew so many students on the spaceship. It was really too rare. It was normal to meet acquaintances on the spaceship. After all, those who were willing to spend a large sum of money to study in the dojo were basically the top students of their respective schools. They were all representatives of their schools. This time, Tianshui City's 95th high school was participating together with the other 9 schools. They were all nearby schools, so the chances of meeting acquaintances were very high. Seeing this, the corner of Zhu Erqin's mouth twitched. She said to Zhang Yaru, "Looks like student Xia has a wide social network. There aren't many students here that he doesn't know." Zhang Yaru was speechless. Indeed, he had a wide social network. But no matter how she looked at it, those students were more like enemies. When they saw Xia Ping go up to greet them, they all gnashed their teeth. Some even clenched their fists, the veins on their foreheads bulging like a volcano. If it wasn't for their companions holding them back, they probably would have rushed up. This bastard was trying to cause public anger. The mouths of Xiong Batian and the others also twitched. They were speechless. Regarding Xia Ping's previous provocation, their anger had dissipated. Clearly, this bastard wasn't deliberately targeting them. It was the same for everyone. Didn't they see that the students of the other 9 schools were hopping mad? They all wanted to rush up and beat Xia Ping up. Compared to this situation, their matters were simply child's play. This guy's mouth is too cheap. Tao Yun was also speechless. He gave his conclusion. The homeroom teacher, Qiu, also couldn't stand it anymore. She felt that if this continued, it would cause a riot on the spaceship. She went up to grab Xia Ping and said, "Sit down obediently. Don't cause trouble everywhere." "All right." Xia Ping spread his hands and shrugged. He didn't have any opinion, because he heard the sound of the system prompt. Obviously, he had achieved his goal this time. He had gained a lot of hatred. So he walked towards his seat and sat down. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The other students also sat down one by one under the arrangement of Qiu and chose their own seats. Damn, I didn't expect that god of plague Xia Ping to also come. No wonder I had a nightmare last night. I didn't expect it to be for a reason. It's over. We've been targeted by this Xia Ping. Won't our special training be ruined? If we can't afford to provoke him, can't we just hide? Beast Island is so big. How can we possibly meet this bastard? I think everyone thinks too highly of this bastard. This time there are countless strong people here. He's not the only one. If he continues to be arrogant, someone will definitely take care of him. That's right. If one person can't beat him, can't 10 people beat him? Chapter 77. Feeling the murderous gazes around him, Xia Ping remained unmoved. He continued to sit in his seat, happily drinking his drink, unaffected by the people around him. But this made everyone even angrier. They secretly swore to themselves that they would take care of this bastard sooner or later. Zhang Yar. All of a sudden a crisp voice rang out. Following that, a graceful figure slowly walked up to Zhang Yaru and stared at him. It's Chu Rong from Tianshui City's 88 Middle School. A sharp-eyed student immediately recognized the person who came to cause trouble for Zhang Yaru, and couldn't help but call out, "It's actually Chu Rong?" A square-faced student looked at the woman with admiration and said, "She's worthy of being the school beauty of 88 Middle School. That figure, that appearance, she's simply the best. I heard she's also an online streamer, a celebrity. If I could marry a woman like that, I'd be willing to live for less than 10 years. A group of men next to him looked over. Their eyes lit up and their hearts were moved. Don't even think about it. The person who wants to pick her up has at least a reinforced company, and she's already taken. A tall student spoke up. That person is Xia Ping. The square-faced man was dumbfounded. Impossible. How can someone like this get the school beauty? I don't believe it. How can such a thing happen in this world? Is this Chu Rong blind? He collapsed. He couldn't accept this reality at all. It was as if he had been punched in the face. It's not fake. I've also heard this news. It doesn't seem to be as simple as a girlfriend. She's this shameless Xia Ping's lover. She's probably ranked 8th. Having a lover is already too much. And she's only ranked 8th? Is this some kind of concubine selection? Not only that, it seems that 95th Middle School beauty Zhang Yaru is also his girlfriend, And she's even pregnant. Holy crap. This beast, he actually has a foot in 2 boats. He's openly occupying 2 great beauties. Is he still human? Why hasn't he been hacked to death by the school beauty yet? I have the urge to hack him to death right now. It's not as simple as a foot in 2 boats. He stepped on more than 10 boats. Just the names of 2 of the school beauties are known. There are even more that haven't been exposed. Bastard. I knew this kid wasn't a good person, but I didn't expect him to be so shameless. He's simply a scum, a disgrace to us men. The group of students cursed loudly. They were so angry that their lungs were about to explode. Some of them even had signs of smoke rising from their heads. But this Chu Rong suddenly went to look for Jiang Yaru. It's like a queen meeting a queen, and they're going to have a big fight. A girl gossiped as she pushed up her black-rimmed glasses. Everyone was pleasantly surprised. That's right, the fact that this bastard was two-timing was exposed. Which woman could tolerate it? Maybe Chu Rong had already exploded in anger, and was looking for someone to vent her anger on. Moreover, they were all on the spaceship and couldn't even escape. If they didn't fight now, when would they? It was obvious that Xia Ping was finished. He would be torn to shreds by the angry woman later. The heavens have eyes. A student looked up at the sky and sighed. I've been waiting for this bully to get his comeuppance. Everyone come and take a look. This is the consequence of having a foot in both boats. This is the consequence of being a scumbag. Everyone, just you wait. This bastard will definitely be hacked to death by a woman. Everyone was gloating as they looked at the situation on Xia Ping's side. At this time, Jiang Yaru also noticed Chu Rong's arrival. He raised his head and was a little surprised. Chu Rong. Jiang Yaru, long time no see. Chu Rong looked at Jiang Yaru and said, ever since we parted ways in the fighting competition, it's been 4 to 5 months since we last met. I didn't think we'd actually meet again before the college entrance exams. Jiang Yaru asked, you didn't come here to talk nonsense, did you? What exactly do you want to do here? She went straight to the point and looked at Chu Rong. Everyone held their breaths and focused their attention. The atmosphere suddenly became heavy. They felt that this was the prelude to a storm. Who knows, a fight might break out in the next second. As expected of my opponent. You really do understand me. Chu Rong smiled and said, to tell you the truth, I'm already getting impatient. It's been 3 years. I've already put you and I on the same level for 3 years. She raised 3 fingers and said, but I don't want to continue comparing like this. Between you and me, we must determine a winner before the college entrance exams. Let's see who's the strongest. Interesting. How do you want to determine the winner? Jiang Yaru looked at Chu Rong. Her beautiful eyes revealed a strong fighting spirit. She didn't back down in the slightest. It's very simple. Chu Rong also looked at Jiang Yaru. This time special training also has points and also a high or low evaluation. After this special training, whoever has the highest score will be the winner. Okay. Jiang Yaru nodded in agreement. She didn't fear any challenge, and she had the confidence that she wouldn't lose to anyone. I hope you work hard. Don't be left too far behind by me. Chu Rong gave Jiang Yaru a deep look. After saying this, she directly left, not even sparing a glance at Xia Ping. Everyone was disappointed. Why didn't the 2 of them start a fight even at this point? It was too strange. Just what's going on? Isn't this the queen meeting the queen? Why didn't they start a fight? Instead, they issued a challenge. Someone asked in confusion, what's the benefit of winning like this? A bespectacled male student's eyes lit up. No, there's still a benefit. You guys don't understand. This isn't an ordinary competition. What? What's going on? Tell us in detail. A group of students gossiped. The bespectacled student revealed a look of disappointment. It's already come to this point and you guys still don't understand? Without a doubt, the 2 campus belles are fighting over a man. Fighting over a man? The group of students was dumbfounded. How did they come to such a conclusion? As expected of the school's belles, a genius girl. Even when fighting over a man, she's still so graceful. If it was a normal girl, they would have already started a fight, fighting each other in public, tearing at each other's hair and clothes. The students sighed. But they're different. They still have their own reservations. So they're using this special training as an opportunity to have a final competition between the two of them. A fierce battle between dragons and tigers. Whoever loses has to leave Xiaoping. Isn't this a fight over a man? Everyone suddenly understood. No wonder they felt that there was something fishy about this matter. They didn't think that there was such a deep level of logic behind it. Fortunately, there were people with high IQs here, and they immediately saw through it. Impossible. I don't believe it. What's so good about this damn Xiaoping? There are actually beauties fighting over him, and they're willing to die for him? Why aren't they fighting over me? Chapter 78. This Xiaoping's methods are too brilliant. Just how did he manage to achieve such a thing? It's bad enough that he has a foot in a dozen boats, but now he's even letting two goddesses fight over him. Is there still justice in this world? This is too despicable. Isn't that right? Just how did this Xiaoping train his women? Why aren't they chopping him up? His methods are too amazing. Although this bastard is a bit of a scumbag, he's still quite capable. Bullshit. This is only the ability to harm innocent women. What's so great about it? Many students glared at Xiaoping with grief and indignation. They had a look of disbelief on their faces. They couldn't understand what was happening in front of them. This was too absurd. Hearing the words of these students, Xiaoping felt that he was very innocent. It was obvious that there was a conflict between the two women, so they challenged each other. What did it have to do with him? Why did he have to take all the blame? Hearing these words, Zhang Yaru's charming face darkened. She almost couldn't hold it in. Just who was the one who wanted to die and was being trained? Was she, Zhang Yaru, that unbearable? It was just a very normal competition. But in the mouth of these bastards, it became a fight over a man. This was too despicable. Even 8 Mouths wouldn't be able to explain this clearly. Forget it. Thinking of this, Zhang Yaru felt that it was better to endure this anger. She knew that even if she went up to explain, no one would believe her. Instead, they would think that she was lying. In short, when it came to things like rumors, the more you cared about them, the faster they would spread. Ding dong, at this moment, a broadcast sounded from inside the spaceship. Following that, a middle-aged man wearing a military uniform appeared on the large screen in front of them. He had a square face and a dignified gaze. Even through the screen, everyone present could feel the oppressive killing intent coming from him. This was definitely an expert above the martial warrior realm, and an extremely powerful one at that. In an instant, all the students on the spaceship stopped talking. They seemed to be intimidated by the other party's imposing manner. Hello everyone, I am the captain of this spaceship, Luo Jian. I am a retired soldier. I believe everyone knows that this time, I am responsible for bringing all of you to Beast Island for training. The middle-aged man in military uniform, Luo Jian, introduced himself. His tone was very solemn. But I believe you all still don't know what kind of place Beast Island is. Let me explain briefly. It's a huge island 3,000 kilometers away from the east of Tianshui City. Even a spaceship would need 3 to 4 hours to reach it. It's a long distance. Of course, the long distance is not a big problem. This island is very large, at least 100,000 square kilometers. There are dense forests, mountains, rivers, valleys, and so on. The geographical environment is very complicated. At this point, he changed the topic. Most importantly, there are countless ferocious beasts and monsters living there. They are extremely powerful, bloodthirsty, and cruel. There are also some venomous snakes and insects. It's a real jungle world. For the next 5 days, you will have to stay on this island to train. We will not provide you with any help, nor are you allowed to bring any food down. However, you can still bring along the necessary equipment and weapons. Everyone was in awe. They knew how difficult it was to survive on a deserted island. Even if it was only 5 days, it was already very difficult. Not to mention that there were terrifying beasts living on the island that could devour their lives at any time. Xiaoping's eyes flickered. 100,000 square kilometers was very large. Even in his previous life, Taiwan was only slightly more than 30,000 square kilometers. However, this beast island was 100,000 square kilometers, at least 3 times larger. Moreover, they were not allowed to bring any food. They had to survive in the wild. For a modern person who was used to living in the city, It was simply a kind of torture. Given that this training has a certain degree of danger, Captain Luo Jian continued, we will have a positioning watch with positioning information on it. This will make it easier for us to know your location on Beast Island. If any of you are in danger or want to withdraw from this training, you can press the button on it. Our people will immediately come to your rescue. But you must remember, once you press this button, it means that you have given up on this training. He waved his hand, and a few crew members walked out from the entrance of the spaceship. They took out a black watch and distributed it to every student present, letting them wear it on their wrist. Xiaoping also took it and wore it on his right hand. There was indeed a button on the watch, and the screen seemed to show some map information. In order to increase everyone's enthusiasm, we have decided to arrange a competition for this training. Don't hide immediately after arriving on Beast Island. This will lose the meaning of training. Captain Luo Jian smiled. You can bring back the left ear of the beasts you hunted on Beast Island. The more beasts you hunted, the stronger you are, the higher your points. The person with the most points will get 5 body tempering pills, the second place will get 3, and the third place will get 1. There are even special rewards for outstanding performance. He put down this important news. What? The group of students was in an uproar. Every one of them was dumbfounded. It should be known that most of the students present did not come from wealthy families. Usually, they could not afford such a precious pill like the body tempering pill. Just 1 body tempering pill was enough for some families to struggle for more than 10 years. But now, first place could actually get 5 body tempering pills. This was simply a pie falling from the sky. I must get first place. Zhang Yara's beautiful eyes lit up. She clenched her fists, revealing a burning fighting spirit. If she could obtain these body tempering pills, advancing to the 8th layer of martial disciple would be a piece of cake. Some of the other outstanding students also had the same idea. A pill like this was enough to save them a few months of cultivation. This was a good thing that they could not even imagine. Xiaoping's expression was very calm. He had already lost count of how many body tempering pills he had. A mere 5 couldn't arouse his interest. But no matter how small a mosquito was, it still had some meat. No one would complain about having more body tempering pills on them. Alright, that's the general idea. We'll set off now. Captain Luo Jian waved his hand and gave the order. Boom! At this moment the entire airship shook and rose into the air. With a whoosh it flew high up into the sky. The students present could see through the windows that they were getting further and further away from the ground. The airship speed was extremely fast, and the internal gravity system was excellent. There was almost no vibration at all. A cup of water was placed on the table, but it did not overflow. Zhang Yar. Chapter 79. You are. Zhang Yaru stared blankly at the group of people walking over. She didn't know these people and had never seen them before. She didn't know why they were looking for her. I'm Han Shan from Zhengde High School. The young man in white introduced himself. He was elegant, but his face showed a trace of arrogance, as if he was born this way. Suddenly, the surrounding students were shocked. Zhengde High School? Is it that famous private school in Tianshui City? It's this school. It's said that the students who can go to this school are either rich or noble. Every semester costs 30 to 40,000 federal dollars. Poor people can't afford it. And the students in this school are all very strong. Our public schools can't compare to them at all. How can we compare? They're all rich people. They have monster to eat every meal, and they have all kinds of training facilities. They have a great innate advantage. This Han Shan seems to be very famous in Zhengde High School. He's the #1 expert in this school, an expert at the 8th layer of martial disciple. No way. Isn't that even stronger than Zhang Yaru and Chu Rong? He's not only strong but also has a lot of background. His family runs a food processing factory, specializing in processing monster meat and other foods. There are tens of thousands of workers and a market value of 1 billion. It's said that the Han family is very influential in Tianshui City. Many students were shocked. They looked at this group of students from Zhengde High School with a look of envy. The people from Zhengde High School puffed out their chests even higher, as if they weren't on the same level as the others. Han Shan's face was expressionless. as if this was all natural. So you're a student from Zhengde High School. Jiang Yar didn't comment on the other party's identity. She asked indifferently, then why are you looking for me? The reason I'm looking for you is very simple. It's to join forces. Han Shan smiled slightly. I've heard of Miss Zhang's reputation. You're the #1 expert in Tianshui City's 95th high school. An expert at the 7th layer of martial disciple. Even in Zhengde High School, you're one of the best. So, I hope you can join my team and participate in the training on Beast Island. I believe you also know that in a wild jungle like the Beast Island, a single person's strength is very weak. However, it's different with a small team. The chances of survival are greatly increased. If Miss Zhang can join forces with us and obtain first place in this trial, it will be as easy as pie. He looked at Zhang Yaru with a passionate gaze. To be honest, this was the first time he had seen such a beauty. He had fallen for her at first glance. Even in Righteous Middle School, there wasn't a beauty like her. If he could take advantage of this opportunity to get along well with her and deliberately create a few opportunities to be a hero saving the beauty, then he might be able to get his hands on this beauty and win her heart. In fact, Han Shan wasn't interested in a reward like the body-quenching pellet. He was rich and could easily buy a few of them. However, it was different for a beautiful woman. It wasn't that easy to get his hands on one. No need. Without even thinking about it, Zhang Yaru flatly refused. For this trial, I've already formed a team with my classmates. I'm afraid I won't be able to join your team. Hearing this, Han Shan's expression was very gloomy. He didn't expect that his personal invitation would be rejected. Forgive me for being blunt, but I'm afraid your Tianshui City's 95th middle school doesn't have many strong people. If you form a team with them, I'm afraid they'll drag you down. It's better for you to think twice. I, Han Shan, personally came to invite you. This is rare. I hope you cherish it. Hearing this, the students of Tianshui City's 95th middle school were all half dead with anger. They were actually looked down on like this and treated as trash. They all felt very annoyed in their hearts. Zhang Yaru frowned. She didn't expect this guy to be so difficult to deal with. Even at this time, he still wanted to pester her. She suddenly saw Xia Ping sitting next to her. He was happily drinking his drink with a very leisurely look. Suddenly she was furious. She was clearly in such a difficult situation, yet he was still here drinking his drink as if nothing had happened. This was really too much. She rolled her eyes and came up with a plan. She said loudly, if you want to form a team with me, that's not a problem. But my boyfriend probably won't agree to this. Zhang Yaru was very proud of herself. Who told you to deliberately spread rumors? This time I'll let you taste the bitter fruit. Boyfriend. Hearing this, Han Shan's expression was extremely ugly. It was rare for him to take a fancy to a woman, and now she was already taken. How could this be? His eyes were filled with anger as he stared at Xia Ping sitting next to him. Brat. Han Shan stepped forward. His body surging with a violent aura, ruthlessly oppressing, trying to suppress Xia Ping. Miss Zhang should have no objections to forming a team with us to participate in the training, right? People like you from Tianshui City's 95th middle school will probably drag Miss Zhang down. Don't overestimate yourself. You should know how to appreciate favors, understand? His words contained a hint of threat, as if hinting that if anyone dared to have any objections, he would have a problem with Xia Ping. The surrounding students all looked at Xia Ping with schadenfreude. Especially the students from Righteous Middle School. They all knew that Han Shan was a person who would seek revenge for the smallest grievance, and his methods were ruthless. Anyone who offended him would not have a good ending. In the past, there were a few students from Righteous Middle School who refused to give Han Shan face. As a result, they were ambushed by him in an alley. All the bones in their bodies were broken, and even now no evidence could be found. The police were also helpless. In the end, those students were traumatized and directly transferred schools, no longer daring to stay in Righteous Middle School. Scram! Hearing this, Xia Ping lazily raised his head and said this word to Han Shan. What? Han Shan's face turned green. He was the king of Righteous Middle School, and all the passing students had to bow their heads and greet him. When had anyone ever said this word to his face? Someone actually told him, Han Shan, to scram. The other students were also stunned. Although they had long known that Xiaoping was not someone to be trifled with, they did not expect him to be so arrogant. He did not intend to give Han Shan face at all. The people from Righteous Middle School were also a little stunned. They did not expect that someone would dare to speak to Han Shan like this. Immediately, someone gloated and said, Han Shan, it seems that your name is useful in Righteous Middle School. No one will care about you when you go out. Shut up. Han Shan roared at the man, and the man immediately shut up and did not dare to speak again. Obviously, he could see that Han Shan was really angry. Chapter 80. You very good. Han Shan's face was gloomy to the extreme, staring at Xiaoping. You are the first person who dares to talk to me like this. This trial will take a long time. Let the two of us have some fun. I hope you don't have any accidents on Beast Island. After saying this, he turned and left. The students of Zhengde Middle School looked at Xiaoping with pity. This kid was simply reckless. He dared to offend Han Shan like this. Wasn't he looking for death? They had seen how miserable the people who offended Han Shan last time were. But what did this have to do with them? He was just a civilian. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. A group of students of Zhengde Middle School turned and left, quickly leaving the area of Tianshui City 95th Middle School. Xiaoping, you're in a bit of trouble. Hong Yu next to him said with a very serious face. I have heard of this Han Shan's reputation. He doesn't seem to be a good person. He is vengeful and ruthless. Now you have offended him. When you go to Beast Island, maybe he will target you. The other students also had a gloating look. This kid didn't know who he could offend and who he couldn't offend. If he offended the people of Zhengde Middle School, there would be no good end. The other party, Han Shan, was a strong martial artist at the 8th heavenly layer. He could be called the #1 master. In addition, the other students of Zhengde Middle School were also extremely powerful. They were either at the 6th or 7th heavenly layer, and their strength was stronger than the students of other middle schools. Just Han Shan alone was already very difficult to deal with. If the other students joined in, Xiaoping would definitely die. Xiaoping reckoned that he would be plagued with misfortunes during the Beast Island trials. He might even be killed. But this was what he deserved. Who let this guy be so annoying? Target me? Let him come. Xiaoping said lightly. Even Chandong and Zhou Ding, who were strong martial artists at the 9th heavenly layer, he could sneak attack and kill them. What was a mere martial artist at the 8th heavenly layer? If you want to target me on Beast Island, you don't look at your own weight and weigh your own strength. When he dares to provoke me, I will show him some color and let him know who is courting death. Everyone was speechless. They already knew that this bastard was arrogant, but they didn't expect him to be so arrogant that he didn't even put Han Shan in his eyes. However, some people thought that Xiaoping was just being stubborn. Once they reached the Beast Island, this kid would know how powerful he was. But there's more than one of them. If they all attack at once, no matter how powerful they are, they will still be out of luck. I think you might need to be vigilant. Hong Yu suggested with good intentions. Xiaoping waved his hand. They're just a bunch of shrimp soldiers and crab generals. I can easily deal with them. Even if I'm no match for them, isn't my wife still here? Let her make a move and quickly deal with this group of trash. He revealed his plan, showing that he had a well-thought-out plan and that everything was under control. Hong Yu was speechless and didn't know what to say. Holy shit, this guy was too shameless. His skin was so thick. The mouths of the group twitched. They had all underestimated this bastard's shamelessness. He couldn't beat them, yet he still wanted to let a woman go up. He was living off a woman to a certain extent. But this was what a gigolo was. This bastard Xiaoping was exuding the aura of a gigolo from head to toe. It was despicable. But why did women just like gigolos? And they, the real men, were being looked down upon. The heavens were really too unfair. The group of students was filled with grief and indignation. Xiaoping. Zhang Yaru was so angry that her face turned red. She was more or less regretful that things had developed to this extent. But she never thought that this man would have such thoughts. He couldn't beat them, yet he still wanted her to go up and be the scapegoat. Why wasn't this kind of shameless man struck to death by the heavens? At this time, the people from Righteous High School had also returned to their seats. However, many of them were still brooding over what had just happened, feeling that they had lost face. Han Shan, that kid was too arrogant just now. A flat-haired student said unhappily. He actually dared to say such words to our righteous high school. Why didn't you teach him a lesson on the spot and let him know what's good for him? That's right. I've never seen such an arrogant person. We invited these low-level school students. That's giving them face, yet they actually dared to refuse. They really don't know how to appreciate favors. Lowly commoners will always be lowly commoners. As expected, they don't understand any etiquette. That bastard even came from a primitive society. He's a caveman. A group of righteous high school students said angrily, gnashing their teeth. They were all very angry at Xiaoping's attitude just now. Although Xiaoping was targeting Han Shan was still a member of their righteous high school. He was their representative. Humiliating Han Shan was the same as humiliating righteous high school, humiliating them. Don't worry. Han Shan clenched his fists and gritted his teeth. We're on a spaceship. With so many teachers watching, it's not suitable to make a move. We'll let that bastard be arrogant for now. When we get off the spaceship and enter Beast Island, we'll teach that kid a lesson. How could he possibly endure this? In his 18 years of life, it had always been him telling others to scram. When had he ever been told to scram? This was the first time. He couldn't restrain his anger. If he didn't take care of Xiaoping, how could he, Han Shan, survive in righteous high school? Indeed, there are teachers watching here. It's not suitable to make a move. I think that guy is probably doing it on purpose. He's trying to goad Han Shan into making a move. Once Han Shan makes a move, I'm afraid he'll be targeted by the teachers. Maybe he'll even be kicked off the spaceship. That kid's intentions are very sinister. Despicable and shameless. I didn't expect that kid to have such crafty plots. These lowly commoners are full of evil tricks. So what if he knows some tricks? Once he's seen through, it's not even worth mentioning. When we enter Beast Island, we'll teach him a lesson. This is a trial. Although I can't kill him, I can injure him severely and cripple him. Even if the teachers know about this, they can't do anything to us. We have 5 days. It's a long time. Many righteous high school students said one after another. Their eyes revealed a hint of fierceness. They all planned to retaliate. No one had ever dared to provoke their righteous high school and still come out unscathed. They also had this confidence. It was just a little martial artist at the 7th heaven. What was it? Han Shan alone was enough to clean him up. Not to mention they still had 3 or 4 7th-layer martial disciples here. No matter which one of them was weaker than the other. If they joined forces, they could beat that bastard into minced meat. After entering Beast Island, we'll play with him. Let's see what qualifications he has to be arrogant in front of us. Han Shan clenched his fists, his eyes emitting a cold light. Chapter 81. At this time, in the middle of the Beast Island in a valley, there grew a towering tree. It was red all over like blood, and vines wrapped around it like a dragon, looking extremely ferocious. The black soil was covered with bones, densely packed, all white bones, looking extremely horrifying, surrounded by a deathly silent murderous aura. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. At this time, dozens of strong figures like apes appeared one by one at the top of a hill, 2 or 3 kilometers away from the tree, looking out. Some of these people were wearing camouflage clothes, some were wearing bulletproof vests, holding laser guns in their hands, and some were holding sniper rifles with grenades hanging from their waists. Their muscles were bulging, and they were fully armed, exuding a terrifying murderous aura. Each of them actually had the strength of the 8th or even the 9th heavenly layer, incomparably powerful. Boss, our intelligence is indeed correct. A man with a scar on his face said with surprise, there is a scarlet blood tree in the center of the Beast Island, and it bears scarlet blood fruits. In a day or so it will mature. Yes, this time we really arrived. That is the scarlet blood fruit. It is said that it is watered with the blood of countless beasts, accumulating for 100 years before growing. Its value is amazing. One is worth 50 million federal coins. What is money? As long as we eat such a scarlet blood fruit, it can immediately help us break through the Baihui acupoint and reach the martial artist realm. At that time we will be able to release true chi and 100 steps divine fist. Indeed, once we reach the martial artist realm, The strength of our cheetah group will greatly increase, and we can go anywhere in the world. Maybe we can even enter Black Moon City, seize a piece of territory, and end the days of hiding everywhere. Everyone was talking about it, looking extremely excited. If there were police here, they would definitely be shocked to see these people because these people were all criminal gangs formed by robbers, murderers, and so on. They congenially formed the cheetah group, committing all kinds of evil, robbing and killing countless people everywhere, becoming wanted criminals in the Federation, and their reputation spread far and wide, causing people to tremble in fear. But these criminals now appeared in this place, wanting to snatch the scarlet blood fruit. The boss of this gang was called Lin Bao, a middle-aged man with an extremely strong body, wearing a small black vest showing steel-like muscles, on which there were more than a dozen scars, extremely fierce. There's no hurry. Lin Bao waved his hand and calmly said, there's still more than a day before the scarlet blood fruit ripens, so we can't pick it ahead of time. Otherwise, the medicinal effects will definitely be reduced by more than half, and that's not worth it. Also, when the scarlet blood fruit ripens, its fragrance will spread for thousands of miles. At that time, all the beasts on the island will rush over to fight for the scarlet blood fruit. I'm afraid this place will become a meat grinder battlefield. We must be fully prepared. Hearing this, the knife-scarred man said disdainfully, they're just a bunch of beasts without intelligence. Just these bombs alone are enough to send them all to the heavens. Not a single one will be left alive. For this plan they had prepared for a long time. They had spent a huge amount of money to purchase powerful weapons, bombs, and other things. Their goal was to obtain the scarlet blood fruit. They could not afford to lose. Since they were so well prepared, they naturally had absolute confidence. Boss, something unexpected happened. At this moment, a bespectacled man who was as skinny as a monkey walked over with an electronic device in his hand. Just now, I intercepted a nearby radio communication. Right now, a spaceship is rushing over. Their destination is the same as ours, the Beast Island. What? Everyone was shocked. Their faces darkened. If the other party was also here to fight for the scarlet blood fruit, then things would become a little troublesome. There might even be a bloody battle. Who are they? Lin Bao's eyes revealed a glimmer of light. The bespectacled man said in a deep voice, they are not here to fight for the scarlet blood fruit. They are a group of students. They seem to be formed from 10 ordinary schools in Tianshui City. They sent their elites to the Beast Island to train. Of course, there are also teachers, spaceship guards, and so on accompanying them. He told them what he knew. Students? Coming to the Beast Island to train? The knife-scarred man frowned. Damn it. I didn't expect such an accident to happen. This is going to be troublesome. Not necessarily. The Beast Island is also very big. It's at least 100,000 square kilometers. Indeed, those students are here to train. They might not enter the Beast Island for a long distance. Moreover, they are just students. They can't pose any threat to us. The students are nothing to worry about. What we should be afraid of are the teachers who came with them. They are the real threat. These people are not simple. Everyone discussed spiritedly and expressed their worries. The atmosphere suddenly became heavy. What's there to be afraid of? Lin Bao sneered. We have bombs, guns, and sniper rifles. We have all kinds of weapons. Even if a martial warrior comes, we don't have to worry. As long as he dares to appear, we can blast the martial warrior's head with one shot even if they are 2 to 3 kilometers away. It's fine if they don't come. But if they dare to come and fight with us for the scarlet blood fruit, we will kill them. His body emitted a deep murderous aura. This was definitely a bandit who had killed countless people. They were bloodthirsty and merciless. Actually, we don't have to worry too much. The bespectacled man said in a deep voice, I am very clear about these school training. Under normal circumstances, those teachers will stay on the spaceship and won't come out easily. After all, these are students training. If the teachers follow them, it will lose the meaning of the training. If there is nothing major, they will not leave the spaceship. This is the rule. Therefore, we just have to be vigilant of those students. He said what he knew. Students? Those fledglings that have yet to grow up? Back then I was also a student. However, I dropped out of high school because I injured a teacher and was expelled. The knife-scarred man laughed sinisterly. If they dare to come here, I will have to show them some love. I heard that there are also girls coming for the training this time. This is great. High school girls, I have never tasted this kind of woman before. Indeed, those girls in the past all needed money. This time it's fine even if we don't have to spend money. Interesting. Maybe this time there will be some other fun to play with. The group of bandits laughed sinisterly. Their eyes revealed an extremely dangerous glint. Alright, stop talking nonsense. Lin Bao waved his hand. Get ready immediately. If there are any mistakes, I will peel off your skin. Yes, Captain. Many of the bandits shivered and didn't dare to speak anymore. They knew how terrifying their captain was. If they made him unhappy, he would definitely kill them on the spot. Chapter 82. A few hours later, the spaceship finally arrived at Beast Island. We've arrived at Beast Island. With a whoosh, Captain Luojian's figure once again appeared on the big screen. He said, in a while, bring your luggage and head down to Beast Island. You will stay here for 5 days, and our spaceship will return to this place in 5 days. When the time is up, no matter what you are doing, you must return. Boom, the spaceship slowly landed on a beach on Beast Island. With a snap, the spaceship door opened, revealing a steel staircase for the students to descend. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. In a few minutes, the students from the 10 schools disembarked from the spaceship and quickly left the spaceship. The crew and teachers did not follow them. For a moment, there were 100 to 200 people standing on the beach. They were all carrying bags, suitcases, and so on. Swoosh. At this moment, the spaceship rose into the sky and quickly disappeared from everyone's sight. It left Beast Island and flew toward the nearby Entertainment Island as a temporary resting place. For the students, these 5 days were training time, but for the teachers and crew on the spaceship, it was a holiday. They would not stay in a desolate place like Beast Island. Anyway, they had nothing to do on Beast Island. They only needed to drive the spaceship back 5 days later to pick up the students back to Tianshui City. Many students looked at the spaceship leaving and felt a sense of loss. At this time, they were really the only ones left. This was because this place was basically an isolated island, far away from the continent, desolate and uninhabited. Xiaoping looked toward the inside of the island. In front of him was a dense jungle with lush plants everywhere. In the distance there were mountains, rivers, and valleys. From time to time the roars of beasts could be heard from the depths of the jungle, making one's heart palpitate. All the students present could feel an aura that was completely incompatible with the Steel City. This was a primordial aura. There was no sign of human habitation. Even if they shouted for help, no one would care. Let's go. The first to leave was Tianshui City's 88th High School. Chu Rong took the lead. She led her team northeast, separated from the main group, and headed toward the depths of the jungle. Because this trial was a competition, it was impossible for all the students to stay together. They had to split up. Otherwise, with so many people staying together, who would get the beasts hunted? Seeing this, the people from the other schools also split up, consciously going in different directions to avoid bumping into each other. Let's go, Zhang Yaru said to Xiaoping and the others. Xiong Badian said, forget it, I don't want to stay with this guy. He glared at Xiaoping and turned to leave, followed by Goldman Sachs, Tao Yun, Hong Yu and other 16 or 17 people. These people seemed to have long since discussed this and decided to move together. They didn't plan to stay with Xiaoping, so the only ones left were Xiaoping, Zhang Yaru and Zhu Erqin. Looks like we're isolated. Xiaoping lamented. This world is too dark. This must be the legendary bullying. Tyrant my ass. Isn't it your fault for stirring up trouble everywhere? Zhang Yaru unhappily glared at Xiaoping. And let me correct one thing. You're the one who's been isolated. We're not. Xiaoping looked at Zhu Erqin and asked, aren't you going with them? I've already formed a team with Yaru. Besides, I'm not the type of person who likes to move in groups. 2 or 3 people are just right, Zhu Erqin said calmly. She didn't seem to care about the others leaving. All right. Xiaoping shrugged. Then where should we go now? First find a place with a water source and a place to live. That's the most important thing. Zhang Yaru seemed to be completely prepared. After all, we have to stay on Beast Island for 5 days. It'll be troublesome if we don't have a base. Zhu Erqin suggested. Just now when I was above the ship, I saw a mountain in front of us. It seems to be the source of a small stream that falls from the mountain. Maybe we can go to that mountain and use that place as our base. Their plan was very simple. They just needed to find a place to live. Then they could use that base as the center and spread out to hunt beasts in the surrounding areas. Alright, I have no objections. Xiaoping nodded. Thus, the group of three immediately walked towards the east and entered the jungle. But not long after, Xiaoping found a group of people following behind him. Impressively, it was Righteous High School's Han Shan and the others. There were 11 or 12 of them in total. Their eyes flickered, revealing a malicious light. Xiaoping and the others immediately became vigilant, thinking that these people were going to make a move. But they discovered that these people from Righteous High School didn't seem to have any intention of attacking them. They were just following behind them. Wherever the three of them went, Han Shan and the others seemed to follow. They were neither too far nor too close, just hanging behind them like ghosts, haunting them. Just what are these people trying to do by following us? Zhu Erqin frowned. She felt very uncomfortable being followed like this. It was as if she had encountered a stalker. Jiang Yaru coldly snorted. Don't worry about it. As long as they cause trouble, we don't need to pay attention to them. She glared at Xiaoping with a bit of annoyance. This matter was caused by this bastard. Be careful, there's a beast coming out from the front. Xiaoping had been releasing his spiritual force to observe the surrounding jungle. In an instant, he discovered that there seemed to be some movement in the jungle in front of them. A terrifying aura spread out. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. In the blink of an eye, the trees shook like a gust of wind. In an instant, 4 or 5 forest wolves rushed over from the opposite side of the trees. Each one of them was incomparably strong. Their bodies were covered in muscles and their 4 limbs were sharp claws. They scratched the ground, emitting a bloodthirsty and cruel aura. Be careful, they're forest wolves, Jiang Yaru cautiously warned. It's said that they're one of the overlords of Beast Island. Their numbers are great, their speed is extremely fast, and their strength is extraordinary. With a single claw, even a rock would be torn to shreds. If their numbers were in the hundreds or thousands, even a martial practitioner would be torn to shreds by these forest wolves. However, even if it's a single forest wolf, its combat strength can't be underestimated. They don't fear death when fighting, and are extremely difficult to deal with. Furthermore, they can call for friends. If we don't kill them quickly, we'll immediately be surrounded by the forest wolves. Her expression became serious. Xiaoping didn't really care. These forest wolves were indeed powerful, but they were only equivalent to a martial disciple at the 5th layer. They posed no threat to him. Just as he was about to make a move to kill these 5 forest wolves, the people from Righteous Virtue High School who had been following behind them suddenly moved. Their speed was extremely fast, and in an instant they had rushed in front of Xiaoping and the others. In the blink of an eye, 5 people stepped forward and took out their long swords. They displayed their exquisite sword techniques. A cold light flashed past, extremely accurate and ruthless. With a poochie sound, the long swords pierced through the hearts of 5 forest wolves in an instant. With a thud, the 5 forest wolves fell to the ground without any strength to resist, losing all signs of life. What? Jiang Yaru and Zhu Erqin were both shocked. They didn't understand why these people from Righteous Virtue High School would do such a thing. They even helped them kill these wild beasts. Chapter 83. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. The Zhengde Middle School students didn't say anything. After killing the forest wolves, they quickly moved and carried them away. They didn't even look at Xiaoping's group. Their expressions were full of disdain. Just what are these guys trying to do? Jiang Yaru and Zhu Erqin were puzzled. However, their doubts were soon solved. As the 3 of them advanced deeper into the forest, they encountered cheetahs, tigers, and even black bears. The students of Zhengde High School personally killed all the beasts and took away all the carcasses. Not a single one was left behind. Sometimes, before Xiaoping's group even discovered the beasts in the surroundings, the Righteous High School students would take the initiative to take action. Like loyal bodyguards, they thoroughly eradicated the beasts. Soon the sky turned dark. In the afternoon, Xiaoping's group had walked over 100 kilometers. In the end, they stopped at an open space in the forest to rest, sitting next to a large rock. Han Shan and the others sat not too far away from Xiaoping's group. They seemed to be tired and decided to set up camp in this open space. They took out kitchen utensils and even sleeping bags. And so they began to barbecue on the spot. The ingredients were naturally the beasts they had just killed. After adding seasoning, oil and salt, a fragrant aroma wafted over. Grumble immediately, Zhang Yaru and Zhu Erqin's stomachs bulged. They hadn't eaten for an entire day. They hadn't even had water to drink, and they had walked such a long distance. It was impossible for them not to be hungry. Damn it. These guys are too despicable. Zhu Erqin clenched her teeth. She finally understood what the righteous high school students were trying to do. They were helping them eradicate the beasts, not to protect them, but to starve them to death. Because they couldn't bring any food from the airship, the only food they could find was on the beast island. Naturally, the meat of the beasts was the best food. Originally, they could have hunted these beasts for dinner. But with the interference of the righteous high school students, they hadn't found a single prey up until now. All of it had been snatched away by them. They actually played such petty tricks. Zhang Yaru was also very angry. However, she had to admit that the other party's methods were very disgusting. After all, they were still humans. They definitely needed food to maintain their daily energy. If they didn't eat, no matter how strong their martial arts cultivation was, they wouldn't be able to exert much combat power. In just one afternoon, they were so hungry that they had no energy left. If they had to wait another day or even 2 days, they would probably have no choice but to give up on this trial and be carried back to the spaceship, becoming a laughingstock. At that time, they might really become the first people to faint from hunger in the trial. You're quite smart. Xia Ping's eyes flickered. He had to admit that the other party had hit the nail on the head. It was too difficult to find food in a desolate place like the Beast Island. The only way was to kill those ferocious beasts. But now this path was blocked. Even the wild fruits along the way had been swept clean by these people. They were extremely ruthless. If this continued, they would definitely faint from hunger and lose all their strength. At that time, they would be at the mercy of others. At this time, Zhengde Middle School's campsite. Haha, look at the eyes of those fellows. They must have fainted from hunger. A Zhengde Middle School student laughed proudly. They haven't eaten much all day, and they've traveled hundreds of kilometers. Even if a martial arts expert has a strong physique, they won't be able to withstand it. He had been observing the reactions of Xia Ping and the others. You can tell just by looking at their eyes. They can't wait to pounce on us and snatch our meat away. Can they snatch it away? If they dare to come up, we'll teach them a lesson and beat them half to death. Even if we report it to the teachers, we have a reason. I guarantee that we'll teach them a lesson. I have to say, Brother Han's plan is brilliant. They were taken care of without any effort. This is just the beginning. Let's starve them for another day, and they'll know how powerful we are. Many students discussed and looked at Xia Ping and the others mockingly. They were all very proud of themselves, treating this matter as an interesting game to play. Humph! Han Shan snorted coldly and looked at Xia Ping with disdain. This poor brat wants to fight with me? He doesn't know what's good for him. With just a little trick, he'll be on the verge of death. Just you wait. In less than 3 days, he'll definitely kneel before us and beg for mercy. When that time comes, we can ruthlessly humiliate them. This is the result of offending me, Han Shan. He clenched his fists, full of confidence. The other students couldn't help but nod. Without food to eat, even martial arts experts would be starved to death in 3 days. If they didn't beg for mercy, were they going to wait for death? Clearly this time Xia Ping was dead for sure. Zhang Yaru and Zhu Erqin also heard the laughter from Zhengde Middle School. Their faces immediately darkened. They knew that the other side was definitely laughing at them and mocking them. Damn, I don't believe that we can't hunt those beasts. Zhu Erqin clenched her teeth. While they're eating, we'll go look for prey. We'll definitely find it. Zhang Yaru shook his head. It's no use. They have the numbers. They can easily send 5 or 6 people to follow us. Some will eat, some will watch, and they'll take turns to rest. How are we supposed to fight them? It's obvious that they've hardened their hearts to mess with us. Hearing this, Zhu Erqin stared blankly. She was very unwilling. Are we going to be eaten by those bastards? Zhang Yaru also had no choice. The difference in strength between the two sides was too great. There was no way to fight. Isn't it just eating? That's nothing. There's no need to hunt beasts. Xia Ping said lightly. What? Zhu Erqin and Zhang Yaru were both stunned. They didn't know what Xia Ping meant. Eat as much as you want. As soon as he finished speaking, Xia Ping took out a lot of food from his bag. There was roast lamb, beef, pork, hamburgers, pizza, ham, and even desserts. It was a dazzling lineup. Immediately, the air was filled with a rich aroma, evoking the worms in their stomachs. This. The corner of Zhang Yaru's mouth twitched. Where did you get all this food from? Zhu Erqin was also dumbfounded. They knew that when they disembarked from the ship, the inspection was very strict. No food could be brought out, not even water. Chapter 84. That's a secret? Xia Ping smiled faintly. Because he had used the system's agro points to exchange for these food, the price was also very cheap. 1 agro point was enough for 1 portion. Of course, he didn't need to explain anything about this kind of thing. Secret? Zhang Yaru and Zhu Erqin were both extremely curious. They couldn't understand how this guy brought the food down from the spaceship with such strict security. Xia Ping nodded. Yes, it's a secret. Of course, if you don't want to eat, I won't force you. I'll eat. Hearing this, both Zhang Yaru and Zhu Erqin immediately said. Their stomachs were already flat from hunger, so they didn't care how Xia Ping got the food. In short, they had to fill their stomachs first. So they immediately picked up the food and started eating. Xia Ping also grabbed a leg of lamb and bit into it. And the actions of Xia Ping and the others were immediately noticed by the people of Righteous High School. A student exclaimed, "Look, that bastard took out a bunch of food from the package. Oh my god, there's lamb, beef, ham, pizza, hamburgers. Holy crap, there's even drinks. Are they here for an outing?" His face turned green, revealing a look of envy, jealousy, and hatred. Impossible. Another student shouted, "Didn't the captain say that no food was allowed to be brought off the spaceship?" There were a few students who tried to hide it, but they were caught by the teachers on the spot and taught a lesson. Even when leaving the spaceship, there are laser scans. Any food hidden on the body can't hide. How on earth did that kid bring the food down from the spaceship? He stared dumbfoundedly at the way Xia Ping and the others ate, feeling very puzzled. Do you even need to ask? That kid went through the back door. A fat student said indignantly, relying on his family's money and power. He got the teachers to give him special treatment and allow this guy to secretly bring food down. Someone questioned, but isn't this kid a student of 95th High School? The students in that school are all poor. How could he have money to bribe the teachers? Who knows what's going on? Maybe this guy knows the captain and has a friendship from the previous generation, so he went through the back door. Otherwise, where on earth did the food come from? The fat student shouted. Indeed, if the captain hadn't been bribed, he wouldn't have been able to do this. That captain looks like a dog. I didn't expect him to be this kind of trash. He was bribed with money. This is the reality of this world. Those without money and power are all caught and beaten to death, while those with money and power are free and unfettered, willfully breaking all kinds of social rules and getting away with it. The moral degeneration of the world is getting worse and worse. How can people be like this? You will be struck by lightning if you always use the back door. The group of students from Zhengde Middle School gnashed their teeth in anger. None of them had brought anything with them when they were chased off the spaceship. Only by hunting ferocious beasts and picking wild fruits could they have food. However, this kid had brought a bunch of food down from the spaceship. He didn't have to work so hard to enjoy all kinds of delicious food. This kind of behavior was shameless to the extreme. Moreover, they were all pampered students who did not do any chores. Normally, they did not even have the chance to enter the kitchen. One could imagine the taste of the food they barbecued. There was no way they could compare with a regular chef. In other words, it was good enough that they could eat. It was impossible for them to taste delicious. At this time, a delicious aroma drifted over from Xia Ping's side. It seemed to contain more than 10 kinds of seasonings. The aroma assailed their nostrils and stimulated their taste buds. It drove the students from Zhengde Middle School crazy. Clearly, these food were cooked by a high-class chef. Brother Han, they have food now. What we are doing is useless. A student from Zhengde Middle School said sullenly. Originally, they wanted to force the other party to bow their heads and starve them half to death. However, they didn't expect them to actually bring food. There was no need for them to go out and hunt. In the end, everything they did became a joke. The other students had ugly expressions on their faces. They were extremely sullen. They could imagine that the despicable bastard Xiaoping must be laughing at them in his heart. This is not useless. Han Shan clenched his fists and gritted his teeth. I don't believe that he brought so much food down from the spaceship. We have to stay on the Beast Island for 5 days. There are 3 of them. Even if that guy really did bring some food, it definitely won't be enough for 5 days. At most, they'll finish it in 2 days. There's only 3 days left. Without food, it'll be hard for them. He couldn't accept it. How could his plan fail just like that? Yeah, Brother Han is right. Even if we can't starve him to death, we'll make sure he doesn't get a single grain. When the time comes, he won't even be able to hunt a single beast. I'm afraid he'll become a laughingstock. The group of students from Zhengde Middle School gnashed their teeth. Sure enough, for the next day, the students from Zhengde Middle School continued to follow Xiaoping's group. They didn't seem to relax at all, as if they planned to follow them until the end of the trial. These bastards, they really won't go away. Zhang Yara was furious. She originally thought that since the 3 of them had food, the students from Zhengde Middle School would retreat. She didn't expect them to become even more aggressive. If this continued, she and Chu Rong would probably lose the competition. Don't worry. Xiaoping's expression was very calm. Let's continue deeper into the forest. I don't believe they're that strong. Once they encounter a powerful beast, they're dead for sure. Wanting to clear out all the beasts in the forest without leaving a single one alive required absolute strength. But the deeper they went into the forest, the more terrifying the beasts they encountered would be. Even if the students from Zhengde Middle School were very strong and all of them were elites, they still lacked the strength to face the increasingly strong and numerous beasts. Hearing this, Zhang Yaru and Zhu Erqin both nodded. They also felt that sooner or later, these people wouldn't be able to persist. All of a sudden, Xiaoping's eyes flashed. His spiritual power sensed a black shadow flickering in the trees in the distance. It was approaching at an extremely fast speed, like an ape. Clearly, this black shadow had also been noticed by the students from Zhengde Middle School. It's a beast. Kill it, Han Shan ordered. Immediately, one of the students took out his bow and arrow. He knocked an arrow and shot it out with extreme speed. Extremely accurate, the arrow hit the black shadow in an instant. Unexpectedly, the black shadow let out a mournful scream, followed by the sound of blood splattering. What? This black shadow wasn't a beast but a human. Chapter 85. No, it can't be. Did I kill someone? The student with the bow and arrow was shivering and his face was pale. He had never experienced such a thing before, and was at a loss of what to do. The other students of Zhengde Middle School looked at each other, and didn't know what to do because they didn't expect that there were other people on this uninhabited island. Moreover, the other party's movements were so sneaky and silent, it was normal to be mistaken for a beast. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. In the blink of an eye, 5 or 6 figures appeared in the distance of the jungle, extremely fast, with a fierce momentum, and suddenly came in front of Xiaoping and others. One of them was a bald middle-aged man. He saw that his right arm was hit by an arrow, bleeding, and his face was ferocious. He glanced at the students around him and roared, "Who is it? Which son of a bitch dares to shoot me with a bow and arrow? Do you want to die? Tell me, do you want to die?" He roared like a tiger roaring, containing a monstrous sound wave, showing the tyrannical strength of the 8th heaven of martial arts, and suddenly suppressed Han Shan and others. Not only because the other party's voice was loud, but also because these dozen people were not good people at first glance. All of them wore small red vests and bulletproof jackets, revealing strong muscles and ferocious tattoos. Most importantly, they actually carried firearms, grenades, and were fully armed. Their bodies exuded a murderous aura. Obviously, these people had killed people. Compared with ordinary martial artists, these people obviously had an unusual murderous aura. Xiaoping's eyes flickered. He also felt that these people were not ordinary people. They seemed to be more ferocious than those underworld figures in Black Moon City. I'm sorry. The student with the bow and arrow trembled and said, I didn't mean to. With a bang, the bald middle-aged man stepped forward and slapped him. All of a sudden, the student was slapped to the ground, and even one of his front teeth flew out, mixed with blood. One could imagine how powerful this slap was. If sorry works then, what the fuck do we need the police for? He stared at the student who fell to the ground with a sneer. The students of Zhengde Middle School were scared half to death. When had they ever met such a cruel person who attacked without saying anything? It was completely unreasonable. Aren't you going a little overboard? As the leader of this group of students, Han Shan braced himself and stepped forward. He stared at the bald man and wanted to voice his opinion. Bang! In an instant, one of the men picked up a laser gun and fired a shot at Han Shan's thigh. The bullet pierced through his leg and blood splattered everywhere. Ah! Han Shan let out a blood-curdling scream. How could he have imagined that his opponent would be so ruthless and so fast? Even in the face of a laser gun, he had no way of defending himself. All of a sudden, he hugged his thigh and rolled on the ground. The intense pain quickly spread throughout his body. He had never felt such pain in his 18 years of life. The students of Zhengde Middle School were all shocked and terrified. Too much? He tried to kill me with an arrow just now and I just slapped him. You said that I'm too much. Now do you still think I'm too much? Just tell me, do you think I'm too much? The bald man smiled ferociously and stared at Han Shan and the others. The group of men also sneered. They looked at the people of Zhengde Middle School as if they were looking at prey. The black muzzles were pointed at them. It seemed that if anyone dared to move, they would immediately shoot and kill them. Han Shan didn't dare to speak at all. A lot of cold sweat appeared on his forehead. He finally understood that this group of people were simply outlaws. Trying to reason with them was simply courting death. Who are you people? This is an uninhabited island. How did you appear here? A student of Zhengde Middle School couldn't help but ask. The bald man smiled slightly. Even if I told you, you wouldn't know me. I'm from the Cheetah Group. Although they were a very famous group of bandits, they were only famous among the police. Most ordinary people didn't know them. After all, ordinary people were already worried about their own lives. How could they have the leisure to care about other things? What? You're from the Cheetah Group? Isn't this a very famous bandit group recently? They've committed all kinds of crimes and killed countless people. Recently, it seems that because of the robbery of the treasury, 16 people were killed and 10 injured. Now they're being hunted by the police. How did you appear here? A student was shocked. He seemed to have heard of the reputation of the Cheetah Group. Hearing this, the other students were shocked again and again. This group of people really weren't good people. They were actually all wanted criminals. Han Shan's intestines were green with regret. If he knew that there was such a group of ruthless people in the depths of the forest, he wouldn't have followed this shameless bastard Xia Ping here even if he was beaten to death. But it was too late to say anything now. After falling into the hands of this group of criminals, how could he still have a life? Interesting. You're quite knowledgeable as a student. How do you know about us? Could it be that our reputation is already well known? The bald man and the others were very surprised. The student trembled and said, "My father is a police officer, so that's how it is." The group of people suddenly came to a realization. No wonder this kid was so familiar with the Cheetah Group. It turned out that it was because of his family background. If his father was a police officer, then it wouldn't be strange for him to know similar information. Every debt has a debtor. I didn't expect to find a police officer's son. Our luck is really good. The bald man looked at the student with a ferocious expression. Seeing such a ferocious gaze, the student was scared to the point of peeing. If he had known earlier, he wouldn't have revealed his identity. His father's identity as a police officer was innately opposed to those bandits. It could be said that there was a grudge between the two sides. Now that he had fallen into the hands of this group of bandits, he wouldn't have a good ending. Don't act recklessly. Our teacher is near this island, and there's also a martial arts expert. If we press the help button and the teacher comes to rescue us, you will definitely die. The student stuttered. The bald man laughed and said, "Presumably, some of you secretly pressed the help button just now. Let me ask you, has your teacher come to rescue you now?" A look of disdain appeared on his face because they had already set up a large number of information jammers near the island to intercept the transmission of the help signal. Hearing this, someone's expression changed drastically because from the moment this group of people attacked Han Shan, he had been constantly pressing the help button. But until now there was no response from his watch. In other words, the nearby signal must have been intercepted by this group of criminals, and no information could be transmitted. Chapter 86. It's over, it's completely over now. The students of Zhengde Middle School fell into a desperate mood. Even if they were the children of powerful families, even if they had a bright future and excellent aptitude, for these desperados it was simply dog shit. These murderers don't care about their lives at all. How could they be afraid of their family background? Their background. In other words, if necessary, these murderers would not hesitate to kill them. Damn it, it's all that bastard Xiaoping's fault. We were completely killed by him. If this guy didn't walk around randomly and go deep into the jungle, how could we meet this group of murderers? A group of students of Zhengde Middle School were extremely sad and indignant. They regretted it to the extreme. If they knew it, they wouldn't have paid attention to Xiaoping. But now they were brought into a desperate situation by this guy and fell into the hands of this group of murderers. If they could still survive after that, it would be a blessing. After all, they were students. How could they be the opponents of this group of martial artists at the 8th and 9th heavenly layers with a lot of weapons on them? If they really dared to resist, they would be slaughtered in a face-to-face confrontation. Han Shan's face was pale, and he blamed himself to the extreme. If it weren't for his willfulness and following this bastard Xiaoping around, he wouldn't have entered this dangerous place. Now, because of an accident, all the students of Zhengde Middle School have to die on this uninhabited island. Even if they have power and a bright future, so what? If they die, it's just a corpse, not even a fart will be left. Hey, it seems that you know your situation. The bald man smiled. It's your bad luck to meet us. No, it should be lucky. After all, teachers like us are hard to find even if you have money. If there's a chance to teach you a lesson, it will definitely benefit you endlessly. The other murderers all had a ferocious face, looking at this group of students with a hint of coldness in their eyes. The students of Zhengde Middle School didn't have any mood to laugh. Falling into the hands of this group of murderers, they only felt despair, endless despair, and panic in their hearts. But first, let's teach some high school girls a lesson. This is a lesson for adults. I guarantee that you will remember it for the rest of your life. The bald man greedily looked at the girls from Zhengde Middle School. Girls from a private school like this had pretty faces and dignified manners. Most importantly, they exuded a youthful aura, which was not something those women who often hung around could compare to. Those villains usually hid from place to place and lived like dogs. How could they have the chance to meet such a woman? Now that they had met one, their eyes were filled with an ominous glint and incomparable desire. Immediately, the faces of a few girls from Zhengde Middle School turned pale and their bodies trembled. They knew that if they were to fall into the hands of these villains, they would definitely suffer inhumane torture. They all looked at the male students beside them with pleading eyes. However, the surrounding students all lowered their heads and avoided each other's gazes, feeling very guilty. After witnessing the power of those villains just now, who would dare to stand out? Just now, Han Shan had stood out and had one of his legs broken. This was a lesson for him. Although they were classmates, their relationship wasn't necessarily that good. At the very least, it wasn't at the level of being friends for life and death. They were just acquaintances. How could they exchange their lives for others? Not to mention, in this kind of situation, even if they exchanged their lives, it might not have any effect. Immediately, those girls despaired. Their eyes revealed helplessness. They no longer had the arrogance and insufferably arrogant attitude they had before. Boss, I think those two girls over there are not bad. One of them is especially fresh and has an otherworldly temperament. Even the school belle from my high school couldn't compare to her. One of the villains laughed mischievously and stared at Zhang Yaru. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Immediately, the group of villains noticed Zhang Yaru. Their eyes immediately lit up. Even among the crowd of girls, this girl was extremely outstanding. The other girls simply couldn't compare to her. She was like a crane in a flock of chickens. Not bad, not bad. This girl is not bad. When I'm done enjoying myself, it'll be your turn to have some fun. The bald man laughed mischievously. I'm a very generous person. After I eat the meat, there will definitely be soup for you to drink. Thank you, big brother. The group of villains were all bootlicking. Just what do you want? Seeing the bald man walk over, Jiang Yaru frowned. Her heart was very uneasy. She wanted to find a way to leave this place. However, these villains were strong and had guns on them. Before she could even take a few steps, her legs would be broken by a single shot. Even someone as strong as Han Shan, who was at the 8th heavenly layer of martial disciple, wouldn't be able to resist. Zhu Erqin's face was also deathly pale. She didn't expect to encounter such a thing. What do I want? Looks like you're still a virgin. You actually don't know what I'm here for? The bald man was even more satisfied. Don't worry, I'll slowly teach you later. Jiang Yaru gritted her teeth. Even if she had to perish together with these villains, she absolutely didn't want to be humiliated. Suddenly, a figure stood in front of Jiang Yaru. The group of people were shocked to the extreme. Looking over, they saw Xia Ping standing in front of Jiang Yaru. He faintly said to the bald man, "You guys are the cheetah group, right? Give me some face and leave. They aren't women that you can touch." Jiang Yaru was dumbfounded. She didn't think that Xia Ping would actually stand out at this time. One had to know that the people from Righteous Virtue High School were usually arrogant and insufferably arrogant. Faced with this kind of situation, they were scared to the point of losing their balls. They wanted nothing more than to be ostriches and curl up on the ground. But now this shameless, lecherous guy actually dared to come out. The students from Righteous Virtue High School were sneering in their hearts. This kid came out, but what use was that? After coming out, he was still humiliated by these villains. He clearly knew that he wasn't their match, yet he still dared to stand out and act like a hero. He was too stupid. Han Shan was also looking down on him in his heart. He didn't think that this kid would end up well. If he angered these villains, even his head would be blown off. He couldn't be more dead. Give you some face? Hearing this, the bald man laughed loudly. Who the fuck do you think you are? The president's son? You want me to give you some face? Why won't you give me some face? And you still say that they aren't women that I can touch? So what if I touch them? Are you going to fucking bite me? As soon as he finished speaking, he looked at Xia Ping with disdain. His hand reached out, wanting to grab Jiang Yaru. But at this moment, Xia Ping suddenly made his move. Like a viper, he tore through the air and turned his palm into a blade. Snake fist viper comes out of its hole. Bang! You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.